Friends, if you're looking for real old school laughs, you're in for a treat because we've got them right here. Flip City Magazine. Remember Mad Magazine? Then it went woke? Well, don't worry. Flip City has no chance of going woke. That's right. 4 times a year, you'll get an actual printed magazine full of jokes, stories, comics, and more, all about today's pop culture, entertainment, and woke politics. Flip City takes terrible entertainment trends we love to hate with hilarious parodies of Lord of the Rings, Stranger Things, The Walking Dead, Star Trek, Hunters, and more. Trust me when I say there is nothing else like Flip City on the market. So subscribe today. It will be delivered in print, or you can even get it digitally if you're one of those wacky Zoomers. Either way, follow our link and sign up today, and if you put in midnight, you get an extra 10% off. Check out Flip City Magazine today. Good morning.
I like turtles.
Welcome to the program. It is time for Midnight's Edge in the Morning. I'm Tom Connors. We have a full panel this morning. Folks, greetings everybody. Andre the Boss Man is here. How you doing?
I'm doing excellent. Greetings everyone. And wow, yeah, it's Friday and we do have one heck of a panel here. Amazing.
So I'm not going to waste any time. I'm going to start introducing everybody. We have a very special guest this morning for the first time on Midnight's Edge. You may recognize him from the Amber versus Johnny documentary or his many YouTube channels. That is Darth News. How are you doing this morning?
I am doing wonderful this morning, man. Thank you for having me on.
Well, we're glad to finally get you on here. We've had you on after dark, but this is a long time coming. We're in a perfect day for it, too.
Yeah, it is. It's Friday.
Yeah, that and the Amber stands are out in full force.
They sure are.
We'll get into that. And also joining us this morning, welcome back, Six. How are you doing?
Wonderful. 46 days until Halloween. I'm ready to go.
46 days. Gotcha.
You're going to be dressed as Amber Heard?
No.
That would be pretty terrifying.
No, but Amber Heard dresses up for Elon, we hear.
Ooh.
Or did.
Not anymore.
Yeah, not anymore, but yeah.
Well, those pictures will live forever, so she'll dress up for all of us in them. And yeah.
Also joining us this morning, we have Culture Casino. How are you doing?
I'm great. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for being here. Very excited.
You're Paul Lynn right now. I almost feel like I should do this, though, just because this seems more accurate.
Oh, that's way better. Yeah, put Paul in the middle.
It's so great to be here.
Yes, Paul Chato Lynn is with us this morning.
Thank you very much.
Fellow
Can't tell you
Canadian.
What a thrill it is.
And
Yes,
also
thank you very much. I'm in cottage country. It's wonderful to be here.
better than being in cottage cheese. So that would be gross. We also have Script Doctor with us, speaking of Canadians.
Yes, happy to be here with this illustrious panel today. Indeed.
And we also have another guest with us this morning, the Master of Science himself, Mr. H Reviews. Welcome back.
What's up?
I did. I slipped on right in there just as you were doing your Flip City advert.
Yeah, and just so you know, Darth is actually a fan of yours. He brought that up before the show.
I am.
No one's a fan. We're all just people.
No, dude. Well, okay, that's fair. But I've been subscribed since before you even did your unmasking.
Yeah, wow.
Or your face reveal. And I'm also subscribed
old school.
to car nonsense. I'm a car guy.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Dude.
What a legend.
Yeah. So I love your stuff, man.
Oh, epic. Well, nice to meet you, dude. That's great. That's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, Darth's
you'll have
fun.
to come on the you'll have to come on the H-cast sometime.
Oh,
definitely, I can hook that up.
Love to do that.
We love hooking people up.
Tom likes hooking up.
Yeah. Speaking of hooking people up in the community, we do have some sad news this morning. Somebody who kind of just about everybody in our community knows, Cardinal Sin passed away last night. Some sad news. We learned, isn't that right, Culture? Yeah. I know you're a little closer to him than I was, so I don't know if you want to take this one.
It still hit me like a ton of bricks. I don't have nearly enough information to speak intelligently on it, other than to say that he's going to be missed. He was somebody who you got to know almost right away when you started your channel. He had a keen sense of finding the people that he thought was interesting and immediately inviting them on his channel to speak. And I think I was on his like 4th interview show where he interviewed content creators. It was remarkable, and he was always reaching out with, we managed to cross paths several times between that point and beyond, and he's going to be missed because a lot of us were just kind of touched by him. He was magical in the way he could just navigate conversations. So
very well known for his marathon streams, and
the 24 hours or midnight to midnight, those were great. He'd done one just 10 days ago, to be fair.
Yeah, and I had hopped in there a couple times with him. Like I said, I didn't know him as well as you and some of the other guys in the group did. But yeah, that was kind of sudden and sad news last night. Not very old either. I don't know any of the specifics. I don't know if you do at all, Culture. Like you said, you didn't sound like you know much either. But
no,
you will be missed. Yeah.
Yeah. I also would like to say that I never engaged him with like too personally, other than reading his super chats, his comments, speaking to him in our membership streams. So I knew him primarily as a viewer of Midnight's Edge. That's how I knew him. And still it does hit me because he was one of ours. Because everyone out there, all of you who are watching, all of you who are listening, we do see the comments. We try to highlight the good comments whenever we can, and that's how I knew him from. And we do pay attention. We notice all of the regular names, and we do notice if they're suddenly missing. And Cardinal Sin, of course, was a very notable member of the community, and he will be missed. So I just want to say, everyone, take care of each other. Like, we're a community here, not just us on screen, but all of you out there in the comments. We're all of the same mind and of same interest, whatever minor differences there may be between us. So yeah. And Mexican Iron Man says for $10, I'm broken-hearted today about Cardinal Sin. I want all of you to know, I know in this chat live stream and on this panel, that I'm ever so thankful for every day that I have each and every one of you. Well, thank you, Mike. And yeah, that's true for me as well. I do feel that way. To everyone here in this panel and everyone watching out there, we do notice. And that's also why I like to acknowledge those watching. Like, we have Rob Altus here, Read by Nature is here, Mighty Orbot is here, Spaceman is here, Fresh Snow is here, Toy Fanboy is here, Glade Riven is here, Sean Green is here, Knut82, that's actually KR Nut or something, but he knows. I like calling him Knut.
Yeah, we got Coach O'Dragon and Penny and all the regulars.
Yeah, so everyone out there, big yourself up. Know that you are all appreciated, as was Cardinal Sin, and may his memory long live.
Yes, indeed. So I don't know if anybody else wanted to say anything before we get into the main topics, but yeah, it's a sad day for the YouTube community. All right. With that, let's get the show rolling. Dr. Longdongler sent us in a super sticker to start things off. He sent us a thumbs up, as he normally does. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't already. Share out the link. Let everybody know that we're live, because we've got some juicy stuff to talk about today. Sean MNT became a new member. Thank you so much for that. We have DCB Titan, who says, is the turd herd on parade today? Yes, they are. Isn't that right, Darth?
Yep, they are.
Have you been getting inundated with stuff from them, or not much yet?
No, I mean, I consistently, like, on a daily basis, get, mean Amber fans coming after me in my DMs, and that's why I stopped reading them, except for yours, of course. But yeah, and then on Twitter, people keep adding me, and I'm like, okay, cool. What do you want?
I gotta ask you, because I mean, we deal with some wacky folks once in a while. I've had death threats. I've had hateful things wished upon people I know.
Yep.
That was just this week, Tom.
Yeah, that was just the other day.
Yeah.
I've been called a racist, a transphobe, you name it.
Yep.
But have you ever had a hex put on you before?
What's a hex?
Yeah, I know. What the heck, right?
Yeah,
A
what
hex,
is
like
that?
a witch's hex, like
Well,
a
if you
curse.
don't know, then it was ineffective.
No, I have not. But I guess maybe I wouldn't know. Maybe that's why I've been demonetized for 3 years. I don't know.
That could be, but somebody put a hex on me yesterday. Now I'm worried.
Oh, well.
You should be.
I guess it depends on how much you invest into it. Like if you take it seriously, maybe you'll be cursed. If you
Of
just
all the
ignore it.
things, I just thought I'd ask you because I figured you dealt with all of it. But
I have dealt with all of it. I've got people sending me my home address and all kinds of stuff. Like
I had that once.
Yeah.
That is disconcerting to say.
It is. It's like, hey, we found you. It's like, okay,
Mm.
if you come on my property, I'm going to shoot you. But
that was my, well, obviously no guns here, but I was like,
Right.
I don't think I'll go down exactly how you think it's going to go down. I'm like,
Yeah.
congrats, you found it, but
Yeah.
do something with it, and we shall see what actually happens, shall we?
Right.
now Chato has moved to the Tiki Lounge.
Correct. we appreciate the outdoor sightseeing.
It is a Tiki Lounge.
I'm digging those vibes. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm cool with it.
I'm this is where the transponder extender is, so I
That's fine.
here.
No, that's
Sorry.
perfect. No. Actually, it sounds better there. Less chaos. Mecca
So
J
Darth,
said, "Oh, go
Darth,
ahead."
I was going to ask you whether Eve Barlow is your favorite fan.
My favorite fan? No, but she did, like, back during the trial, people were like sending her my videos on when it was Twitter, now it's X, and she was like, she basically called me a clown and just like, we're not going to pay attention to some dude that hides behind a stupid mask and this and that. But that's like the most I've actually, I don't know, been around her. I don't think she knows anything about my channel. I guess now she does if she's watched the documentary. But no, I'm not a fan of Eve Barlow, I'll tell you that.
Were you on the Herd Fanatics list? I didn't even know this thing existed, and then that Umbrella guy told me, and I'm like, what? There's a list?
Yeah,
like, yeah, you're this, blah blah blah, and this. I'm like, oh, for goodness sake.
Right. I did hear that when I was waiting in line. There were people saying like, oh, certain like content creators are like, being like kicked out or not allowed in or whatever. I don't know. But
no, there's an online list from Herd Fanatics.
But because I wear a mask, there's like a couple Reddit forums that are like trying to it's titled "Who is Darth?" People are trying to figure out who I am, and it's kind of it's entertaining to me.
Yeah,
but
it's too bad that she went kind of sideways on that, because I actually have read her journalism on many other topics that are slightly more serious than this, and she's an excellent writer and a very good researcher, and she somehow
can't be that good at research.
But she was kind of just like a propaganda mouthpiece for Team Herd. That's what she wasn't.
Yes.
She wasn't at this time. She wasn't doing real journalism. She was just trying to defend Amber.
But it just made her into a 14-year-old. Because I've got respect for her other writing. That's all I'm saying.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. I respect some actors' movies, and other ones I don't.
I have no respect for people without self-respect, and that bitch doesn't have self-respect.
Well, there's that too.
Speaking of, we got Mecca J here who says Aquaman 2, Turd in the Water. We're going to talk about Aquaman in just a little bit, but we've got some other stuff to discuss first. JWT has become has been a member for 10 months. Thank you for that. Platonic Guardian says, Andre, your interview with Graham Hancock was excellent. You should make it a series and interview Mrs. Michael or doctors. Sorry, I don't know where I got Mrs. from. Doctors Michael Cremo, David Miano, and David Falk. There you go.
I'm not familiar with Michael Cremo or David Falk, but yeah, I'd love to have David Miano on. So yeah, I might reach out to him. Many people have been requesting that. Actually, one of the questions, here's a fun thing, is that I was looking, when I was preparing the questions for Graham Hancock, I actually watched a bunch of anti-Graham Hancock videos from David Miano, more specifically. And I took a note of his main highlights that he used against Hancock. And then I had like prepared 5 or 6 questions. And over the course of the interview, only one of them remained. That's because all of the other ones, they were kind of already addressed in his conversation. And the only reason I was able to get so few is that the rest of them were honestly quibbling and bullshit.
Pedantism.
And then the one good question that he had was about this detail about, actually, it wasn't Plato that claimed to be the descendant of Solon, but the fictional Critias. And how does that change? And I did ask that question because that was the one legit complaint that he had. Other than that, it was all quibbling and bullshit. But yeah, I would love to have him on. Love to have him on. And including ask for some of the questions and some of his quibbling.
Grand Admiral Adam says, this is an impressive panel. Well, thank you, Grand Admiral Adam. We appreciate that, and we try. We got Grimlock Destroys 85 has become a new member. Thank you for that. Jason Webster says, hi, everyone on the panel. Have a great show. Well, we hope to. We got Rod Thunderheart in the chat who says, hail, Andre, hail, Tom, and hail, panel. Just a couple dollars to wish Cardinal Sin rest in peace. Thank you for all your streams, Gil. Indeed. You will be missed. And then while we got Mr. H here in Culture Casino, Jason Webster wants to know your favorite film of 2023. I don't know why just specifically you guys, but there you go.
Let me have a look and see what ones I've reviewed. Let me just go. I'll let Culture take it first, then I'll have a look.
Oh man, it's kind of a toss-up at the moment. I really enjoyed Equalizer.
RB.
No, but I did. That's the third best film, Tom. Come on. No, honestly,
Equalizer 3. To you, it's always whatever the latest movie you saw that you liked. I've noticed.
That's not true because I was going to go back and
it was John Wick 4 for a while. Now it's Equalizer 3.
Let Culture answer the question, Tom.
Yeah, unlike others, I think that if I were going to pick, it'd be between Equalizer 3 and the Mission Impossible film, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning. Maybe the third best would be Sound of Freedom. And I mean, those three films are kind of like compete for best of the year so far. There really wasn't a lot out there. I really did appreciate Gran Turismo, but I would say if I were going to stick to one, because of just how perfect everything was about the Equalizer 3 and how you can show an aging hero, you know, I think that was probably the best. I think that was probably the best.
So I've remind myself actually the amount of films that did actually release this year. I'm just looking through them now. Super Mario Brothers movie was just absolute joy. It was super, super fun. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. It is a kids movie though, not to detract from it remotely, because it was absolutely great, just good, harmless, dumb fun. And I had such a good time with it. So I guess immature kids movie-esque, it would be that. And then looking at it as well, like I really enjoyed Renfield, and I enjoyed Extraction 2 a lot as well. So that's on the more mature side of things. And I liked Equalizer 3 from a technical perspective. It's I mean, it's better than Renfield, but Renfield was good fun, and I like Nicolas Cage, and it was good to see him on the big screen again. So yeah, Super Mario Brothers, absolutely. And then as like an honorable mention, probably Extraction 2, just because I do love the cinematography elements. Just the feats that they managed to pull off is astounding. It makes, you know, it's the sort of action adjacent cinematography to John Wick. You know, it's different, but it's on par. So yeah, I'd say that.
Darth, I would like to extend the question to you as our featured guest as well. What's your favorite movie of this year?
Thank you. Well, there's a couple I have not seen yet. I've not seen Oppenheimer, though I've heard okay things about it, and I've heard a lot of praise about it. So there's a few that are still on my to-do list, but I'd have to say, honestly, I think I enjoyed Talk to Me the most. Talk to Me
got released in the UK.
It's a horror movie, but it was done by a couple of YouTubers, and
It's not digital now.
Yeah, it's the company, the channel's Raka Raka, and man, what they did with essentially no money, like, well, 15 million is not nothing, but it was an example of how to make the most of every single second that you're showing on screen. Like everything there's a purpose. There's like deeper meanings to it. It makes you think. It's one of those movies that when I left, I was like, hold on a second. And I had to watch like 20 YouTube videos trying to figure out like, the whole thing. And I just really enjoyed it. It's a tight 90-minute movie, and it felt real. It felt like a real take on modern day, I guess, possession, if you will. Like if like a kid in college were to get possessed at a party, everybody would be filming that. Everybody would have their phones out. And it was well done. It's hard to explain. If you watch the movie, you'll understand. But that was probably the biggest surprise of the year for me, because I expected nothing and I got more than I could have imagined. So that's me.
All right, very cool. And with that, let us get into the very first news story of today. We do have a bit to talk about, most of it related to DC, their problems, Amber Heard, Alan Moore, who has gone completely off the rocker. But before we get into that, we have another technical news update here. I'm going to bring it up on screen, because it pertains to the strike, which is now going for more than 100 days. So it's for a pretty long while. And we have this update this morning coming to us from Deadline Hollywood. California Senate passes bill to give striking workers access to unemployment insurance. Now it's up to Governor Newsom. At the same time, I also started hearing that the different parties may be prepped for a new meeting next week. So, script, as someone caught in the middle of this, what's going on in the world of the various Hollywood strikes?
Well, right now, the WGA union and the AMPTP are going to have a meeting to schedule a meeting, essentially. There's been confusion. Oddly enough, a lot of the trades refused to publish the latest WGA response to AMPTP's claim. In fact, you can see it over on social media, WGA West, the WGA West and East Twitter accounts and Instagram accounts tweeted and posted the timeline of events that has not been updated in the trades about how it's been in AMPTP's the court ball's been in their court for the last few weeks, and they have not responded. So now they're meeting to schedule a meeting to see if they can what the next set of offers and proposals are going to be. At the same time, we have the Senate has drafted and passed a bill that allows unions to qualify for unemployment insurance. I'm very hesitant about this because it's the California Senate. Their bills are not that great.
Can I stop you right there real quick, script? I'm sorry, but why would they need unemployment? Isn't that what like the union's supposed to be for, so you can get help and stuff like that when you are on strike? They're supposed to help out the union members when they're on strike and such like that. Isn't that part of the deal?
Well, they have access to things of that nature. This one, the theory of what it was when it was being announced is that if one of the unions goes on strike and it negatively impacts the employment of the other two unions, which means that they are out of work through no fault of their own, they would be able to qualify for unemployment insurance after a certain period for certain parts. I don't think that's going to be the case here, and I also don't think there's going to be any provision where you would have to have the union not be the ones that initiated the strike, which means that the producers and the studios would have to be the ones that walk away from the table in order for that to initiate them, because it's them basically preventing the access of continued contracts and work. But I don't think that provision is in the bill at all, because again, it's written by the Californian Senate. They don't think about those things. They're already in, I think, several $1 billion in debt with regards to unemployment insurance now, and some sort of bill like this would just increase it even more. And it also is, I think it's also subjected to be potentially abused. I think there might be some bad actors when they get in charge of certain unions that say, hey, let's strike and collect some EI. so that we can strike even longer and try and get the best deal, as opposed to the incentive required, which is everyone needs to get back to work.
Well, I was about to sort of just jump in there. Realistically, is that, you know, if this is passed at this juncture, where, you know, you have the WGA and SAG-AFTRA on strike currently, I mean, I don't know. You're obviously, you know more than I do, right? So I'm not going to take everything that I'm saying from a rudimentary perspective of it, and
Sure.
You can correct me. But surely passing this bill at this juncture, it's been rumored that the WGA, in terms of their leadership and what they've been offered from the studio, so this is the, you know, correct me part, is actually quite a large portion of what the demands were. Does this not just incentivize the WGA further to lock down so they get absolutely everything that they want? Because word on the street is, and this is what you can correct, is that they've been offered a substantial amount of what they were striking for. So I see no incentive for the studio and the WGA now to actually come to an agreement. I don't see any incentive remotely.
Okay. Well, first of all, you're not wrong. There has been a number of capitulations on the AMPTP side to help the WGA. However, they're riddled with loopholes. So, for instance, with regards to the mini rooms and saying that they give the showrunner power to do it or don't, the question is that Disney doesn't have showrunners on their streaming services or with regards to the mini rooms. So then if there's no showrunner, which means
though.
Nope. Again, showrunner is a classification of writer, and then they've replaced that with head writer, so it's not a showrunner.
Yeah, that's what I meant. That's what I said. Don't they have head writers though? Sorry,
they do, but a head writer does not have the same responsibilities as a showrunner, according to Disney, and that's the issues that's being pointed out here. The other aspect,
would that not? Sorry, just to jump in. I don't want to get lost on what you're saying. So that's why I'm not trying to be rude. Does that not? Surely that should then be actually something which the WGA has to finalize on a contractual basis per studio, because they have different structures within the industry, as opposed to an industry-wide thing which makes every single studio abide by the exact same structure for every single production. That seems quite absurd to me from an outside perspective, because what they're actually demanding at that point, or what they're expecting, is the entire industry must have the exact same employment structure, which is absurd.
There are two levels. There's independent, there's an IPA agreement, and then there's studio agreement. So there is that division there.
Right.
So, yeah, and in addition to that, while the terminology on the writer side of things is what is the structure, so you have showrunner, story editor, staff writer, writer, and so forth. In recent years, up until recently, a lot of studios abided by those definitions. They were all in sync. But when the streaming came into play, primarily the only studio that didn't abide by that was Disney. And the reason being is that when they were doing these streaming series, they were producing them in the same way as a feature film. And then in feature film, the director kind of has more control over the development of the project than the writer. And so they reconciled this by having a head writer position, which is something they invented. And when questions were being raised over who's in charge of the streaming series, that always would be met with ambiguity. And that's one of the reasons why the WGA is striking at this point, because, again, they want clarification on this. They want to basically get back to the traditional standard of these are the roles that these writers play with regards to developing a show, be it on network, cable, or streaming, or any other digital medium form, such as a web series or so forth. And because things have been changing in that regard, they're being very, very specific about the wording of any sort of counteroffer or proposal by the studios, because if, let's say, hypothetically, they were to agree to the current mini rooms offer that has been presented, well, guess what? Because Disney operates under head writers, a head writer could be assigned by an internal producer at Disney to be in charge of that room, which means that they don't actually have to abide by the minimum staffing requirements, which, again, I don't agree with the minimum staffing stuff. I think it's stupid. But regardless, if they give the choice to the showrunner, and the showrunner is a WGA writer coming in to produce the show, they can choose to do it or not. But Disney most likely won't do that. What they would do is they just take an internal producer who has greenlit the show, make them the head writer so that they don't have to do it, so they can hire the one or two writers who actually work on this series and make it quote unquote successful before production. So that's one of the things that the WGA refused to do. And it's something that I'm very surprised the WGA caught and denied, because I would say 3 or 6 years ago, they probably would have agreed to that foolishly. Because one of the things that's kind of interesting is you have David A. Goodman, you have Chris Kreiser, who are 20-year veterans of the WGA. Both have been president of the WGA. You also have David Young is sick, but the person he's been shepherding for the last 5 years, Ellen Strutzman, is taking his place. She's been there for 17 years. She started as a research analyst. She was a graduate at Cornell University for industrial and labor relations. She's actually been crafting some of the letters that have been going out to the team captains on the WGA. And she's been picking apart meticulously a lot of the counter proposals, basically just trying to foresee what is the worst case scenario that could happen with these types of deals, and making sure there's clarification on the offers and proposals to ensure that they're getting a fair deal. What I find also kind of fascinating is that there's the way that they've been presenting their minimum staffing argument and what they want suggests some sort of ulterior motive that is to the benefit of writers and to the detriment of studios if they were to pursue that model. And I think that's a speculation with regards to they want to price it out so studios stop using the mini rooms and just go to the default structure as it is. If they make it too expensive to use the mini room, they're just not going to want to use it. And I think that's kind of what they're trying to push. I suspect. I'm not 100% on that, but it just seems odd how they're trying to push on this. The next part also comes to with regards to generative AI. There's lots of loopholes in there. They're basically suggesting that a studio producer, instead of them having a broad vision that they normally do about this is what we want to make, and we're going to find someone to who's in that same sort of perspective to pitch us and write the property, write the script you want for this property. They're actually just going to have it outlined or detailed in some way with AI. Consider it it's not going to be copyrightable, of course. The Congress has already passed, the courts have already passed that law, saying that it's not copyrightable, but they're also saying that it's not going to be used to impede the financials of the writer. It's so vague. It's like, that. What does that mean? Give us a scenario, give us an example of how it would work out. The AMPTP has not provided an example, so the WJ is rejecting it.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, listen, these are not great negotiations in anyone's book, of course. The mere fact it took months for the AMPTP to return to the table is not good for them. The end run that the AMPTP has been doing to try and sow division in the unions is not working too well. Even the the RAP report saying that the showrunners are trying to discourage stuff has been incredibly denied, even denied by a number of the showrunners that were rumored but not identified in the article when they were outside of Fox Studios the other day.
So can I because I haven't had a chance to speak to you yet, in fairness. It's good to have a chit chat, and I don't want to overtake anything, but I just want to ask, as someone who's obviously a member of the WGA, and I presume you would speak to other members as well.
I've talked to a lot of them over the last few weeks. Yeah.
Are people aware that the general populace doesn't really care that much about their struggle currently because of the product that's been laid out for people? And I mean that I'm not that is a genuine, sincere question.
Oh, dude,
because I wonder if people are so disconnected or not. And so oftentimes some people are so in their own bubble, they are so disconnected that they don't quite realize that they're actually quite hated. I'm not saying they're hated, but I'm saying as a scenario, some people don't realize they're hated. So I ask you that question with sincerity.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, so here's the funny thing that I've noticed. So there's a handful of veteran writers that are kind of kooky that have no idea what the hell's going on outside of their field of vision. There's even more very young ones who a lot of people in this area would call the diversity hires, which are in the same pool. And then there's the rational ones who are like, listen, we know the rest of the world doesn't care. And they're like, they kind of should to a degree, they say, but they understand the points because, again, some of them are very well aware of how the economy is, how they don't want to spend a whole lot of money on like streaming services or expensive cable packages or going to the theater. It's been really refreshing. And they're basically saying, listen, we know some of the output has been terrible. And if we were in those seats, we probably wouldn't be getting those jobs because the studios would be firing us for not wanting to write the trash you see. And that's kind of been the case, especially on streaming services and a little bit over in network. And yeah, they're pretty much well aware. The ones that they do try to divert the conversation to is the fact that everyone in California whose business, which is not directly connected to Hollywood, but is required by the existence and operating of Hollywood, is being affected, is what they like to talk about as well.
Right.
They're talking about laundry services, car rentals, delivery services.
Fair enough.
All those types of things. They're saying like a lot of them have contracts with people who, if they're not contracts with the studios, or contracts with productions and with the people who need their services in order to get from point to point, that's what they're looking for. And that's what they're trying to help. What's been interesting is that some of the higher paid celebrities have definitely put in kind of like pools or grants of sorts to provide for some of the talent, mostly for IATSE, as my understanding, because they're the ones that are hurting the most on this. Of course,
has put in what, $500,000 or.
Well, I think one of the showrunners has put in $500,000. I can't remember which one. It might have been Berlanti or Ryan Murphy, one of those two guys. And then of course you have Dwayne put in $1 million, and a few other actors have thrown in $1 million there to help kind of just everybody. There's been a lot of donations from corporate companies of grocery stores giving out like $200-$300 gift cards to everyone that's on the picket line and IATSE members and stuff, to try and make sure that they can at least buy groceries so that they can reallocate their funds to paying basic bills, which is showing a lot of support. But yeah, the ones that kind of write the best shows we like to enjoy that we haven't seen very much are very well aware the rest of the audience in the United States does not really care or can't think of them or us in the top 100 of their problems.
The main reason for this, I think, is number one is streaming has destroyed the scheduling of shows, that you don't have appointment television anymore. In 2008, which was the previous strike, people actually wrote into TV Guide and said, "Oh my God, what's going to happen to my MacGyver?" The audience connection, I think, is really all about network TV. And now that network TV is basically, gone, non-existent, no one cares about it anymore.
Sewage.
There's no people have no connection to their favorite shows. Oh my God, Dynasty is going to be off the air. I think I'm going to commit suicide.
Well, Dynasty is part of the network TV model, so soap operas are still running. Unfortunately, the networks have been hiring non-union.
They have a different union, don't they?
No, they're part of the same union. They just have a different provision.
Okay, I was going to say because they got to where they can keep going. But this is actually
the emotional thing is changed. Public, first of all, does not know what a writer does, doesn't care anyway.
And thinks that they can do it too if they do know something.
Right. And now their favorite shows are not going to be impacted by this because they don't know when their favorite shows are on. They just sort of wait for the email that some streaming service is putting on House of something or other.
Well, and I think this is kind of funny you brought this up, Paul, because we do have to move on to other topics. But this is kind of another topic related to this, though, because you've had this week Drew Barrymore and Bill Maher being attacked by everybody because they're going back to work despite the writers. And as you just brought up, it was 07, not 08. But in 07, not everything came to a screeching halt and people gave a shit more then than they do now. So this is kind of like woke biting Hollywood in the ass, because the whole idea is, well, it has to be all for one or all for none kind of thing here in Hollywood right now. And I think that mentality is pushing everybody to go against, like Drew Barrymore and Bill Maher and all those, when it's like, wait a minute. And this is the point Bill Maher was making. In 07, we continued the show. We just didn't do the segments that were written by writers, right? Why all of a sudden is this a big deal? Why should everybody suffer because of 2 or 3 factions? This makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Not only that, their demands are mostly kooky, and I'm assuming he's talking about like the writer's room numbers and all that kind of crap, because he's somebody who runs a very competitive writer's room, right? So to him, it's like you earn your spot or you're gone.
He's known for that. And the other part too, and this is something that a bunch of the writers, myself included, and even IATSE members brought up, which is, why aren't we doing the 07-08 thing where we show the camera has no teleprompters, We highlight the shows that are standing in solidarity with the unions, like Conan O'Brien did on his late night show. Why aren't we just doing like vamping for the hour segments and stuff, just to try and keep the guys working? And nobody could come back with an answer. It was really odd, because it's like they could have been doing this 4 months ago, and at least keeping those crews on those shows employed, and maybe even doing maybe a rotating staff of IATSE members, so that everybody could get at least a paycheck a month and weather this strike. But I have no idea.
That still is going to feel like a loss, though.
It does,
but
yeah.
I agree with you. I mean, they did that back in 2007 and 8. I know that, but again, it still feels like a brick has been removed from the wall.
Yeah, it's like a sign of weakness type of thing.
Correct. Anyway.
Well, we'll have to see how this plays out. We've got some other news topics, though, to talk about, like I said. We got a super chat from Ashicom here. He says, Darth, do you think you were the inspiration for the YouTube bits on Amber versus Depp Lifetime movie? I don't know if anybody's seen that mess. I heard it's pretty bad.
I did not watch it yet. But it's possible. I got to watch it first to be able to answer that, but I don't know if you're being funny or
I think he's actually asking you seriously.
Yeah, I don't know. But now that you mentioned it, when I have some free time, I'll put on that piece of shit and we'll see what it's about.
I'm gonna watch it too, and I'll let you know what I think.
Yeah, I actually meant to watch it like months ago, but it just didn't really fall on my to-do list. So, but I'll do it now. I'll do it now. With that,
do it right this minute. Stop this. Go watch it. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, see ya.
Speaking of to-do lists, let's get on the one thing that's the big topic of today. We got an Aquaturd trailer yesterday, and we got two brief moments, or at least one brief moment of Aqua Lady in front of her, and then we got one from behind. So it could have been a body double. We don't know. But yeah. The Aquaturd trailer dropped, Andre, yesterday, and it's great to have Darth here to talk about this because, as we pointed out at the beginning of the show for our newcomers who weren't here, Darth, of course, was in the documentary, the Amber Johnny Depp documentary that Netflix recently brought out. So perfect day to have you here, Darth. So, Andre, where should we start with this Aquaturd mess?
Well, I suggest that we just start with general impressions on the trailer itself before we devolve into Amber and all of the problems that are with
devolve or de-evolve. I think both are.
I think they're pretty much the same thing, to be honest. It's just a matter.
Yeah, I know. It's just being facetious.
Yeah. But on the trailer itself, and we can also talk about how much money Warner has blown to smithereens on this and what they're doing right now, because now it appears that they've decided that, we're going to lose a fortune on this. We're just going to do a minimum job with the advertising. We're going to do like one obligatory trailer, and that's pretty much it, because why throw any more good movies after bad at this point? The DC universe right now is coming off of 4 flops, and the first one, Black Adam, which was ridiculed as this massive flop when it came, is starting to look pretty good right now. And this thing right here, this could be one that's going to rival The Flash for floppiness. So yeah, just my thoughts on the trailer on a whole. Like, I think if I was separated myself completely.
Actually, I think you could say they are coming off of 6 flops, actually, Andre. 7 flops. Don't forget The Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman 84, and Birds of Prey. Mm-hmm. We're all just before that. And none of them.
True, but Wonder Woman 84 and The Suicide Squad, they had excuses in that they were being released day and date and the theaters weren't fully open. Now Birds of Prey, that doesn't have any kind of excuse. So yeah, if you skip those 2 movies, then the flopping range goes even further back in time. And this movie is definitely going to continue that, because you know what the trailer reminded me of? I had the same feeling watching this trailer as watching the trailer for Kull the Conqueror, meaning this looks like dumb fun, but no more than that. Not necessarily something I would go to the theaters to see, but something I'd check out on a boring day if there's nothing else. Like, oh yeah, I probably should get caught up on this. That's my thoughts on the trailer. And on Amber, I have thoughts on why they chose
We'll get to that.
one shot, but we'll get to that.
Sounds like Darth wanted to say something there too.
Oh no, I was saying, wasn't the Suicide Squad released specifically to streaming?
No, it was day and date.
Day and date.
Oh, it was. Okay.
Yeah, so that's where we'll give, I guess, Wonder Woman and Suicide Squad a bit of a caveat.
I would argue that the Suicide Squad was probably the best of those 7 you mentioned.
Yeah, well,
as far as
not speaking for taste, but yeah,
right. That's true. We're speaking for money. But my first impressions were this. Not impressed, underwhelmed. It's just the run of the mill, formulaic, just CGI, eyesore. So I'm not impressed. It's just I'm ready for movies to kind of bring it back down to earth a little bit and get more practical with it. And it just didn't do it for me. I don't know.
It's funny you say that, Darth, because that's what it feels like to me. It feels like this movie should have come out 3 years ago.
Yeah, it should have.
It feels that old already. It feels very dated. Nothing in it really gave me anything to go, oh, I'd like to see that. The plot seemed very thin. Pretty obvious.
The trailer for Blue Beetle made me feel more ways than this trailer did, and I didn't even I didn't even watch Blue Beetle. Wow. Just the trailer. I like the trailer for Blue Beetle more than this trailer, and that's saying something.
You know why this trailer felt like it was old?
Because
the movie was shot 3 years ago. Yeah.
Well, no, because they've cut the trailer to essentially be a carbon copy of Thor: Love and Thunder trailer.
Kind of. I see what you're saying now that you say that. Yeah.
I was going to say that.
Same.
Yeah.
It's literally the same formula, same narration, everything.
It's actually Thor underwater.
Yeah.
And a guy who is a schlub, doesn't want to be a superhero, is done with the biz.
He's
drawn back in it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't want my superheroes not wanting to be superheroes. It just drives me nuts.
I know. Did you see in the very beginning of the trailer? You see him hanging his.
Oh God, Dave!
He's dry. Is that supposed to be tongue in cheek?
Honestly, we covered that.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
It's hanging really annoyed me as well. Yeah.
It's Atlantean bloody outfit, mate. You don't need to wash it. What are you doing?
I know, or dry it.
Well, you have to wash the inside, but that's just silly. It's just silly.
Do you?
Because you're wearing it, right?
Well, the biggest mistake is okay. Time out. You guys are the biggest mistake is he's supposed to have it dry cleaned, not wet cleaned. That's the bigger problem here.
And where's the fly?
But doesn't he prefer being wet though? Like in the end.
Yeah, I know that was the joke.
Yeah, he's like, I live right here in the water.
So does he just pee in his suit like old people in a pool?
Kind of like when you're in a wetsuit.
Yeah, exactly. Like when you're in a wetsuit.
So culture, Paul, you did mention a little bit, but do you have any more to say about the trailer? Or?
It was stupid. All sorts of robots, mechs. It was just incoherent insanity with a superhero who, once again, doesn't want to be a superhero and somehow has some person will inevitably give him a speech that will rouse him to change his mind. Yeah, I should do this. Yes.
Well, isn't that
I'm so tired.
The arc of the first film too? Is he didn't want to be king, basically? So
he didn't want to be king. It was different. This he doesn't.
He doesn't want to be king now either. It sounds like
no. He doesn't want to be Aquaman. He wants to raise the kid. He wants to hang diapers out on the clothes.
That's what I mean. He doesn't even want to be king. He just wants to be Aqua Dad. I was waiting for Eddie Murphy to come in like Daddy Daycare.
But there's a difference. He doesn't want to be in the water. This is another step back. So it's double step back. Doesn't want to be king. Doesn't want to be Aquaman. Wants to be dead. Anyway, that's what it seemed like to me. And all the CGI effects, were just preposterous. It was not enjoyable to watch for me.
No.
I think I would just suggest in the one thing that I'll add to this conversation, because outside of the Amber Turd stuff, which I'm sure we'll talk more about, but is that I think the things that showed up in the trailer were the tiny little snippets that they thought were passable CGI. It was the best they had to offer of everything that they put together, because you're right, it was nonsensical, it was cut very oddly, and it left a lot to be desired. I think that's
and I think they overdid the dudeness of it. Like he was, what was kind of charming about the first film was that he was kind of the dude, and now he's gone full Big Lebowski in this. And I went, what?
There's a difference there, Paul, as well. There's a difference there.
They did the Thor thing.
He's water dude bro. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
There's a difference.
Yeah. Aqua bro. Yeah.
As far as the CGI, why do you think we're going backwards? I felt like there was a moment where CGI, it was almost indistinguishable from it was just looked so good, and now everything just looks like just looks
not
like
everything.
shit.
Not everything. Look,
we've been reporting on that.
I just feel like it's been getting worse.
Well, it's oversaturated to the point, like beforehand, it was used very sparingly, in which case it was so short, so quick compared to the rest of the movie, you didn't notice it. Unless it was really, really bad.
No, again, I completely disagree. It's dependent on what movie you're looking at. So the creator, movie made for $85 million, has copious amounts of CGI.
Oh, it does.
And it looks absolutely staggering. Why? Well, a color palette for starters. So the color edit, the colorist, whoever's doing the CG and how they're editing it together has done a very good job of not having drastically glaring colors. They're not, one color is not bloody bright yellow and the other is not bright green, for instance.
Kind of like why District 9 holds up today.
Exactly.
Well, there's another side of that, and that's why they started that union, and that's because companies like Marvel and DC rush their CGI when they're wall-to-wall CGI. Yes. They don't have the time to perfect it like they do with smaller projects and such, where they're not changing everything every 5 minutes.
Well, they actually do. So they do and they don't. It's that they spend so much money on everything else. They're such large productions that they spend so much money on everything else. They do actually have the time. I mean, The Flash had the time. So did Aquaman. It's been made for years.
Yeah. Right? Well, they stopped. Well, here's the difference. There is they actually stopped working on them.
Yeah, but again, it's the structure. It's who you choose to get to do it as well. I mean, if you're using predominantly American-based VFX artists, they're going to cost significantly more money. You look at Godzilla -1 trailer and you look at the VFX there. The director did the VFX. It looks amazing. Pisses all over Aquaman, right? Yeah. Yeah. So it's actually where you outsource the work to. It's how much time you're giving them to do the rendering, because a lot of it actually is coloring and textures.
Yeah.
If a lot of these things are not fully textured because they don't allow the render time, and they have the time, they don't allow it.
Yeah,
you have softer edges. They're well blended. They work within the frame. Everything that Nate says is 100% right. But they're also working with a new medium that makes everything behind them look flat. And especially if they're doing real-time rendering behind them, and that's part of the excuse for using the volume and or stage.
And I don't even know if they did that on this, because this and The Flash reportedly have something CGI in almost every single shot. That's kind of part of my point too.
This
is a soundstage, isn't it?
But it's worse. It's worse yet, because I mean, you're dealing with super suits that are essentially not there. So you're actually animating every single aspect of just the character. I mean, why even have their head? Just animate Jason Momoa's head, and it looks like they do it sometimes in this trailer.
Yeah, well, Nicole Kidman for starters.
Yeah. Oh God, that is just hideous.
I have to. I mean, one thing we have to give this movie a bit of slack. Doing anything underwater is difficult. I've shot underwater, and it's horrible. And so the thing is, as much of this as they can do in CGI is going to be helpful from a humanity perspective.
But do we actually think they shot stuff underwater?
No, this is all dry for wet. This is all dry for wet.
They did do some, but not much.
I mean, outside of him diving into water.
Well, no, but I saw some behind the scenes stuff where they were in tanks and doing some other things, but it's all blue screen tanks, right? So they're like literally just in a tank that's surrounded by blue screen, so they can be inserted into the ocean background and whatnot. And you're right.
The hair movement is very difficult to do in CGI.
Yeah. Well, and then when it comes to like the Little Mermaid, they didn't even use water for that, for instance. They just had them on wires, and they did everything CGI around them, including her hair and crap like that. So it was like pointless. Yeah. And Six, what did you think of the trailer? Since you're the female perspective on the panel, did Momoa get you fired up?
Well, I'm not blind, but I'm also an adult, so I need to see a little bit more than I Aquaman taking 2 steps and then striking a pose, because he seemed to do that about 3 times too many during the trailer. I love exposition. I love character dialogue. So I'm looking forward to a trailer like that. Like Darth said, I was underwhelmed by the trailer. I expected to really be excited, or at least looking forward to the movie more so after seeing the trailer. But it was kind of a nothing burger for me. So, and as far as Aquaman doing the women's work, I assume Mira's dead or in the hospital when he's doing that.
It's interesting you say that. Well, here's the thing. We know initially from the trial, Amber said that at that time she was supposed to have some big action sequence that got cut, and now her role is limited in the film to mostly being in a hospital bed in a coma while she's pregnant. Right, that's what she said on the stand.
Mm-hmm.
And now we've had so many changes to this movie. There was leaks early on. There's people going around, and this is a big spoiler, so plug your ears for 2 seconds if you don't want to hear this. Supposedly the baby gets killed in the beginning. I'm wondering if they don't kill her off in the beginning too. And that's his whole motivation for going to get his brother and going to get Black Manta in the movie. Now, if they redid it that way, that would make sense, because otherwise in the other version, she would have just been in a coma the whole time. So I don't know.
Which is kind of funny.
But this way, at least if they get her out of the picture altogether. But Scriv, let's get your reaction, because then I got a next question that has everything to do with Amber. So yeah.
I mean, it's a story about a trident again. Only now Black Manta has a trident. So we're doing a replay of the previous film to a degree. It was interesting. Patrick Wilson looks more like Aquaman than Aquaman. In this movie,
it's true.
Yeah, he does.
It didn't get me excited. Wasn't really interested. I am laughing. A lot of the people on social media claiming WB kept Amber Heard. I'm like, dude, if you're selling a car for used parts, you don't bring it in for detailing and a new paint job. You just sell it. Just get it out of the way. You don't care.
That's a good analogy.
I mean, that's just what it is. You really think Ezra is coming back? You really think Amber's coming back for future DC projects or any projects at Warner Brothers? Yeah, I got to break this to everybody.
No, and that's where people have been debating about her being in the trailer and stuff. Like even Andre and stuff had brought up maybe it was a contractual thing, and you could help me answer this script. As far as I know, the contractual stuff for anything for an actor to have to do with advertising, it's all on the studio and it's up to their discretion. My guess is somebody like James Wan or whatever pressured them to put her in the trailer, and this was a compromise, and this is how much she's in the trailer. What do you think?
That's a good question. I mean, right now with the strike, nobody can promote this film except for James Wan.
No. But I'm talking about because people are thinking she's in the trailer because she's contractually obligated to be in the trailer. Like I've never heard of that before.
I've never heard of that.
I've never.
That's
heard
what
of
I'm saying.
Either.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I said as far as contractual obligation for advertising, I said that's up to the studio's discretion. That's my understanding. But I mean, you can be contractually obligated to have to go on the press tour and all that kind of stuff, but that's up to the studio was my point. But I wanted to ask you specifically because I know you'd know.
Well, I mean, you don't listen, you can advertise who's in the film, but you don't necessarily have to put them in the trailer.
Exactly. That's what I thought. Yeah.
There's no obligation to. This trailer here was approved by Warner Brothers, most likely, and this is what you're going to get.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, actors' egos only go so far. Once they finish the product, they really want to leave. They don't want to have anything more to do with it. In fact, they would rather have a voice double come in and do some ADRing
than themselves. Yeah,
than themselves. They really have no interest in coming back and futzing with the film. They'd rather get a guy who or a girl who does a pretty good impression of them to do any kind of minor ADR work.
So then that leads to my next question, and that's the main question for the whole panel. Rewind back a little bit, Darth. I know you probably weren't listening at the time, but I'm just about everybody else here.
I'm listening. I'm here.
No, I mean, at the time I said this. I was like,
okay.
Yeah, but so pretty much everybody else here on the panel kind of remembers this, though. But I had said way back when, I don't think that the Flash is going to do that bad. I figure Michael Keaton's going to basically trump Ezra Miller being in this movie. I don't think enough people know about Ezra Miller for that to affect the film. I thought it'd do at least $400 or $500 million. At the end of the day, it managed to not even do as well as Shazam 2, it looked like. from my memory. So Amber Heard being a much higher profile problem, let's say, do you think she's going to trump Jason Momoa? Oh yeah, you guys got to recall, and this is one thing I'm glad Darth was here today for. The Amber Heard trial was as big as the OJ trial. That was like this generation's OJ trial. Everybody watched that. I guarantee you there was 90% of the people that watched that barely knew who Amber Heard was before it, but now they know. And I said this last night. I said, you walk up to 10 people on the street, go, who's Ezra Miller? Maybe 1 or 2 of them will know who he is. You go up on the street, you ask 10 people who Amber Heard is, I guarantee you at least 8 or 9 of those people are going to go, that fucking bitch? Because they all hate her ass on top of it all. So that's my question to the panel. So let's start with you, Darth, right up front. Do you think Amber Heard is going to be a problem for this movie going forward? Do you think she's going to basically do what Ezra Miller kind of did to The Flash? Because I think that was the biggest problem with that movie at the end of the day.
Absolutely. If you go to the change.org, remove Amber Heard from Aquaman 2 petition, that's at 4,600,000. So like if those 4 million people, 4.5 million people take it seriously and they don't go see the movie, if she's in it, which it looks like she is, then it's gonna, like if these people put their money where their mouth is and don't go see it, then their movie's screwed. It's not making $1 billion. It's not making, I bet you this will make 250 to 300 worldwide.
Wow.
That's my guess. That's my honest to God guess. I think people are just done with the generic, just shitty. You're not reinventing the wheel. There's nothing new to be seen here. And honestly, Amber Heard is a huge detractor. I know people love Jason Momoa, but at the end of the day, I think like after the first few people see the movie and they start talking about how much Amber's in it, I think that might also affect how many people may or may not go see it. I don't know. I think for sure it will affect it, but how much I couldn't say.
Mm-hmm. Well, Mr. H, I think stepped away. So Paul, it sounded like you had an opinion on it that might be different, or
again, I don't overestimate the size of the TikTok mob. TikTok is 14 out of the top 17 social media platforms in the world. I think we give it way too much credit for its influence. YouTube, however, is number 2. So, people like us talking about it, probably will have an effect. I don't know. I don't equate the same formula for disaster for this movie as in the Ezra Miller Flash. Ezra Miller's situation was distasteful. He's a distasteful person. Jason Momoa, people still like him. I guess, as you said, Darth, is Jason going to trump Heard in this movie? I think he has a better chance of doing that than Michael Keaton bringing people in for Flash.
That's interesting. I actually thought the opposite, but I'm definitely open to those kind of.
It's just an opinion. I mean, I know he's starring in it.
It just felt to me like that kind of nostalgia bait with Keaton, like it worked for the Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah.
So I kind of thought maybe this would be in like DC's No Way Home, and it didn't. So, but
Ezra starred. That was his starring vehicle. Amber's not starring in this.
That's true. But I think the overall disdain for Amber in the public eye, I don't know. It's hard. It's like saying who's going to win the election.
That's what I was asking, and that's kind of why I was asking. And you guys are having the debate I'm kind of having in my own brain is like Amber being in this movie not very much compared to Ezra Miller being the star of The Flash, overshadowing Michael Keaton. Are those things going to cross each other out? Like, is it? Go ahead, Culture.
I think you can just look at it pure and rationally from there. That question you kind of can answer itself with just numbers, because you have 5 million plus people that signed a petition that said to get you out of the movie or we're not going to see her in the movie. Get her out of the movie or we're not going to see it. That's a lot of people. If they stay committed to that, and if you've noticed recently, a lot of these boycotts and stand against these, this garbage, these movements are starting to really take hold. People are having the fortitude the temerity to stick by what they say they're going to do. So you have 5 million people potentially that won't go see this movie just on the sheer fact that Heard's in it. Now, would those have been people that were going to go see the movie anyway? Don't know, right? So to what end that'll actually affect it. But I have to tell you, based on a whole lot of other factors, including, the simple fact that I'm just not a fan of hers, I wasn't going to see this movie anyway. This is going to be one of the ones I was going to miss, right? Darth?
Yeah, no, same. Yeah, I have no plans to see this movie, even after it's released. I'll watch reviews. I'll listen to people talk about it. I'll read the script, but I'm not going to watch it. I'm going to
make a prediction that if this movie does become a hit, Jason is going to become the highest paid movie actor in Hollywood.
Like he'll be the next Rock.
Yes.
Well, the problem is define acting.
Yeah,
badass.
No.
No, I see what you're saying, Paul, and it has that potential considering how big the first movie is.
I'm not saying it will. I'm just saying
but...
if the movie overcomes all the bad buzz and the naysayers, it's going to be because of Jason, and he's going to become huge.
That's fair.
If this whole thing is successful, it's going to be because he lifted it on his shoulders and carried it to the finish line.
Yeah, he'd be the magic totem that no bad press can affect him. Therefore,
Correct.
he is
That's
the
fair.
magic guy that can shepherd or lead a movie to success.
And I can see that, and that kind of answers that question.
Well, as long as he doesn't do anything stupid in regards to the stuff going on in Hawaii to like start to draw even more public ire in the negative way, then
he yet?
He'll be better off.
A couple of things.
He's leaned into a few things, that haven't quite helped his image.
Yeah, but as long as he doesn't go full Rock or Oprah, I would say he's probably better off.
But again, I'd like to get the female perspective on this. 6.
Yeah,
do you think Amber Heard is going to be a problem?
I don't know. I don't know how much people are associating Amber Heard necessarily with this movie. People might know who Amber Heard is, but I just don't know if they're going to make the connection. She had such a small part in the trailer, and yes, her name is in the credits, but last year I was bullseyes on every movie as far as box office gross, but this year I can't hit the broadside of a barn, especially after Barbie. I could not have been more wrong about Barbie. So I feel like I have no idea how women are going to react to things. They might say, "Oh, Amber Heard she got the the shit end of the stick," and they might want to go out and support. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm going to see it though. But Aquaman is one of my favorite.
Right there.
Aquaman is one of my favorite DC characters, but it's the short hair blonde Aquaman. So I'm kind of digging his brother.
Well, at the trial, what makes me raise an eyebrow is at the trial there was maybe 2 or 3 people that showed up in support for Amber throughout the entire 8-week trial. And the amount of people that were there in support of Johnny is just you can't even compare. If those people won't come out for her trial, that live in the area or the neighboring state, I don't know if they're gonna go see her movie. Just they're gonna virtue signal on X or whatever social media, but I don't know if they're actually gonna go see it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I also think that the fee that this movie right here is going to swing heavily female in the audience. That is something that I think that it's going to be a higher proportion of female viewers than what is normal for such superhero movies. Not because more women went to see it than otherwise would, but because more men are going to not see it because of Amber Heard. Because you have like 2 factors going on here. One, since James Gunn announced his reboot, then everyone knows that all of these movies coming out, now they're creative dead ends. There's no point in seeing it. None of these characters are going to be developed any further. We're never going to see any of them again. We may see the characters, but not these iterations of them. Like Jason Momoa probably has a future in DC movies, but as Lobo, not as Aquaman, which is what he needed to be from day one, to be honest. So just there, you have no reason to watch this movie. Then it also has the stigma of failure, because now all the DC movies of the last few years have been certified box office duds and disasters. Every last one of them. That's a stigma of failure. That's something it's going to be very hard to shake. At the same time, the goodwill for superhero movies is gone, and that is something that we can thank Marvel for, because their quality back when they had that is the rising tide that used to float all boats. As for DC, as pointed out previously, and I actually did an editorial on this in advance, how the obstacles were so stacked against the Flash that it doesn't matter that Michael Keaton is in it, because the obstacles against the movie are greater than for him to overcome. This movie doesn't even have any Michael Keaton in it. The draw here is Jason Momoa, and probably he's going to draw women that come just for him, but they are not going to offset the male audiences that otherwise would have checked it out, but now won't because she's in it.
Yep. Well, Mr. H, I was going to say, go ahead, Mr. H, because you stepped away for a bit there.
Yeah, apologies for that. Take a call, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, look, if Jason Momoa was a draw to anyone, Fast X would be a success. I sort of revert back to that quite often. I get the first one did really well, and it did. I can't see this doing very well. You got to remember is that, yeah, women will go out because they want to watch Jason Momoa, but women also, psychologically speaking, are the highest contingent socially to be bitchy. So having seen what Amber Heard did, her highest contingent of haters are actually women. So you've got to weigh that up against, you know, the sort of drop in men not wanting to watch it because of the support for Johnny Depp. A lot of people, women, were supporters of Johnny Depp as well. So I actually don't, you know, I know I don't think this is going to do very well at all. I think that there's far more markers for it being a failure than a success. You know, women, over 5 million people signed that boycott petition or recast Amber Heard petition. It's not a small amount. That's a bloody lot. People often forget that the Amber and Johnny Depp trial, or the Heard versus Depp trial, that was massive. That is such a cultural phenomenon, and there's a lot of bloody women that were watching it. Who's around during the daytime that were watching it when it was on? Who do you think was watching it predominantly? I bet you anything, if you had a breakdown of it, it would be predominantly women.
And so,
yeah, and actually, H, you took a lot of the points I was going to make, and bouncing off of what Andre said too. Marvel already has kind of tanked superhero films altogether. You got to remember that Aquaman was popular at a time when Marvel was at its height, and Aquaman was the most Marvel of those films at that time. And I think you're right. I think we brought up The Rock earlier. I would compare Jason Momoa a lot to The Rock. He has yet to prove that he is as famous as people present him to be. The Rock is very well known, but he has not had a blockbuster hit where he is the lead actor. The only movies where The Rock has huge hits and box office returns is when he is a part of an ensemble cast. I'd say it's like Jumanji, exactly. It's the same kind of thing I'd say for Aquaman, but like you just pointed out, he wasn't even enough to help the last Fast X movie in the US. That really underperformed. I'm on the side of, I think Amber, and I agree with you too on the women's side of things. She is more of a turnoff for women than men in a lot of ways. And those women that I think were going to show up for this might not just because of her, but we'll have to wait and see. It's going to be an interesting.
Yeah, I mean, for men, the category of crazy ass woman is not a detractor.
No. And Darth, you brought up though that she does have her supporters, as we brought up earlier in the show as well.
Yeah. I even interviewed one of them. Yeah, I mean, they're just, they're not very vocal unless they're online. They don't seem like you would. I just would have thought that they would have showed up to support her, and they just didn't. Like, and it was almost sad to see, but you know, so I just.
Talk is cheap. Action speaks.
Yeah, exactly.
Very little people do it. This is the point, and I think that'll bear out in the box office. Talk is always cheap. People like to play a big game. I mean, let's. I hate to bring up the word because I know Tom will go mental and go on a rant. But let's talk about the Snyder Bros. I'm sorry, Tom. I'm sorry. But let's talk about the Snyder Bros, right? So obviously they orchestrated quite a large contingent of people and managed to get the Snyder Cut made. But then viewing figures bore that out to be a failure. So it's the same kind of thing, right? Talk is cheap. People can talk a big game, they can have a loud voice, but when it comes down to it, very little action. Action is the, you know, the predominant factor that bears, you know, that's the fruits of people's labor, but very few people actually go out and do it. And so I think, I mean, where are her fans? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, probably a bunch of bots on Twitter, as well as, you know, like, I don't know, a tiny percentage of people.
Yeah, they're all bots.
Well, no,
they're all. Well, I have a few bots that continue, and their name is just Amber Heard, and they're different profile. They're different profile photos of Amber, and they just constantly spam my comment sections. It's odd. And
what's
I'm like,
sad is that's the real Amber Heard, just with
It's Amber's child. Come on now, she's giving her a Twitter.
She's a mom. Yeah, that's okay. So that's the next part of this. Like, oh my gosh, the stands were going off yesterday about her being a mom. What the hell is that all about? Like, anybody know?
Oh, I can.
She's a mom in real life.
It kind of like assumes that, oh, just because you're a mom, you're special and you must be promoted. Listen, there's plenty mothers out there who never should have been mothers in the first
Mrs.
place.
Bates, anyone?
Hillary Clinton is a mother. I don't know.
Anyone can get knocked up.
Yeah, anyone can get knocked up. Very well. Good save. That's true.
Yeah, exactly. So, and also, here's like the thing. This is a woman who, after the trial, after the pictures of her poop on bed, stuff like that, she has to escape to Spain, to the island of Mallorca. And what does she do there? On camera, she poops on the street. Yeah.
Did you guys?
What? You didn't know that, Mr. Ray?
What?
Wait, what?
Oh, you haven't seen the pictures? Oh yeah, for real. There's pictures of it.
What?
What?
You are shitting me.
Unconfirmed, but it looks like her, and it was her friends around there, and I think somebody confirmed it. Yes, it was her, at least a patron of the.
What is wrong with this woman? Defecating everywhere. She got some serious fecal problems. What?
Well, drug problems. It sounds like to me.
You are absolutely joking me.
No, I'm not.
Nope, he's not.
You would think, right? The world knows you as Amber Turd, the woman that shits on beds. You would think unequivocally, what I am not going to do is shit in public.
You want to know what probably happened, Mr. H? Here's what happened that night. She's like,
fuck all these bitches. They keep calling me Amber Turd. I'm a fucking show 'em Amber Turd.
And she fucking drops trowel right there, drunk as fuck, and shits in the streets. And her friends are going, "Oh my god!"
The funny thing is how this was discovered, because what happened was that you obviously have like the local population in Mallorca, and they apparently absolutely hate having her there because she's raising hell in the neighborhood. Everyone's like saying, "Dude, this person is not fit to raise a child," and everything. And then suddenly, they wake up and there's human poop in the street. Luckily, there's a surveillance camera over there capturing this whole thing, and that's why we have picture proof that it was indeed Amber.
Well, she should just move to San Francisco.
That's
right?
Incredible.
She'd fit right in.
Absolutely incredible.
Right in. She won't even get in trouble either.
Of all things, you just wouldn't do it, would you? I'm known as Amber.
Like I said, that scenario is the only thing that makes sense to me, Nate. I'm like, why else would you do that?
What do you wipe with in the street?
She didn't even wipe. She just pulled them up and kept going.
Ew.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
There's video of it. Like it's not just pictures. It's actual.
Oh my.
From like a street.
Why was this not headline news?
I promised my audience I'd never.
Because they couldn't
Amber.
confirm it was her, but like I said, a patron of the establishment did.
Yeah,
sorry.
I probably thought it was Paris.
We are not going to show the pictures to our audience because we would be taken down. But Mr. H, if you check the private chat right now,
you gotta.
Just so we get your live reaction here.
Oh, that's absolutely her.
Told you.
That is 100% her.
Yeah, you can tell. You can totally tell.
Her friends are like, "Oh, you're having a shit in the street."
Oh my God!
Like I said, look at the friends.
That's
like
her.
I said. Like I said, you look at her friends. That scenario is probably what happened. She was probably drunk as fuck, and she's like, "I'm so sick of all these people calling me Amber fucking Turd. I'll fucking show him Amber Turd." Her friends look embarrassed. Look at them. They're like, "Oh my God, I can't believe she's fucking doing it."
That just means she has terrible friends, because when your friend poops in the street or pees in the street because you're drunk, you're supposed to stand around them and block the view. That's what girls do for each other. So shame on them.
Yeah. Also, just so everyone know, I now put another picture in the private chat. This is her standing up afterwards, not wiping.
Yeah, that is her. That is 100% her.
Yep. You can.
I'm surprised you hadn't heard about this.
Well, I mean, look, shit is not massively on my agenda. However, I am surprised I didn't hear about Amber Turd.
You got a new video though.
That's insane. That is insane.
We'll have to actually find the story for you.
And wasn't there a picture of it the next day?
Oh yes,
like close up.
Yeah, there's a whole write up on it. Yeah,
I mean,
if anyone is
like a Bigfoot photo, but
if anyone is curious, just Google Amber Heard pooping in the street. And,
yeah, it comes up pretty.
Oh my
God.
Pretty quick.
I don't want to do that.
I don't want that in my search history.
It was in Spain, not Paris. That's what it was. Yeah,
I know.
Because she's living in Spain now. Yeah,
I'm glad she didn't do it on the Walk of Stars.
Yeah, right. Well, she kind of already did.
Mr. H, if you now check the private chat again, just so we get your reaction here. That's the.
That's just blurted out anyway.
You know what? It's right up there.
God.
It's right up there with the guy who was caught peeing at the Lord of the Rings party.
Oh, yeah.
What happened?
Yeah, backstage.
Oh,
right?
When they had those influencers coming in to talk Rings of Power, and they're standing there and they got the shot, and that one dude just walks up and literally pulls the old "I'm drunk and I'm pissing on the ground" thing against the wall.
I remember that. Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm still.
Well, this stream has taken a turn.
It has.
It's gone down the toilet, isn't it?
Like Amber's turd. Yes, indeed.
It's in the gutter, one might say.
In our defense, we're talking about Amber Heard here. It's like, what kind of choice do we have? I mean, this is what she's known for. And also, when she goes to the Spain and she squats down in the streets of Spain and she leaves her recitation card, just like her calling card, like that, what other choice do we have? At that point, it's no longer our fault. It's like, this is on her, but this is what we're discussing. And this is what we're discussing when we should be talking about Aquaman. Like, how quickly did the Aquaman 2 devolve to, okay, she's no longer the person that does stuff that she accused Johnny of doing. She's no longer the person who shat on the bed. She's also the one who shat in the streets of Spain.
Yeah. What a just a rancid individual.
Let's keep moving on here. We're gonna jump to the Aquaman super chats, and then we'll work our way back around to the original ones as we move along here. So I apologize to those who sent in non-ones, but we're gonna try and keep them together here. Maverick Christian says the underwater realm of Aquaman 2 looks way better than that realm in Black Panther 2. It makes the latter look like garbage. Well,
really?
That's your opinion.
I agree with that.
We'll see.
Yeah, the underwater realm in Black Panther 2, like Atlantis, that looked like shit. I will agree with that.
Look a bit like shit, to be honest.
Yeah.
I say I didn't watch the Black Panther one, so I wouldn't know. Yeah. Ryan sends in 20 euros. That's fancy money. Says, I'm not sure who I'm more impressed with, practical effects or CGI. I look at 2001, made in 68, and it's still astonishing considering the time. Oh, brilliant. You still can't top it.
I will say this. I saw 2001 A Space Odyssey on a big screen earlier this year, like a double billing of The Shining and 2001 A Space Odyssey with like 20 minutes break in between. It is by far the best cinematic experience of my entire life. I've seen that movie many, many times. I love it. I love the book adaptation of it. And yes, the book is an adaptation of the movie. They were developed together, and Kubrick was the one calling the shots. Clark had to bow down to the will of Kubrick. For everyone who thinks that it's an adaptation, it's not. But anyway, I know this movie very, very well, and when I saw it on the big screen, I was absolutely floored and stunned as to how amazing it looked.
Yeah, it's because they did a great job on the 4K remaster of it. That's back before Warner Brothers went to shit.
Yeah, I didn't even tell that the beginning was actually all on a soundstage. It's all practical effects in the giant green screen, and it looked like with the monolith, that scene, that's all those rocks are it's all fake, and I was like, what? It just looks so real, and that's I think the beauty of practical.
Well, what's funny is if you show somebody some of the special effects from that movie and be like, this is 1968. This is almost 10 years before Star Wars. And people are still like, what? Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's crazy. And then we've got, let's see here. I want to find the Aquaman one. Sorry about that. ActionCom says, will Momoa pay for Ember's sins? Well, that was the question of the day, ActionCom. And that's what I presented to everybody. So we kind of already discussed this.
Not if James Gunn rescues him and brings him back as Lobo.
Someone was joking that should be the after credit scene. Is you got Momoa meets up with Lobo from an alternate universe, and he's like, badass. That's how it ends. Just him looking at himself.
Yeah.
That's all we need to know. But what's funny about that is we didn't bring this part up. James Wan was out in the press talking about all this, trying to detract from all the reshoots. But yeah, he kind of ended up confirming everything in the process of, though. I think we talked about this yesterday on your show, didn't we, Mr. H?
Yeah, we did. I mean, he went around the houses by saying, well, it was just scheduling. And actually, it's a normal shoot time. But those pickups that we did are very normal. It's like, so you did do pickups then?
Yeah, and then he confirmed the Batman stuff, but he's like, none of that's in the movie now anyway. Our thing isn't attached to anything else.
Yeah, it's a standalone thing. It's not related to anything at all. So, it's been reshot then, isn't it, mate? Like,
it's been reshot, and you had everything cut out. Yep.
Like, I get it. He's in a difficult situation where people are asking him straight up questions, but he could have done better.
Well, and he has to probably dance around a lot of it because I don't even know what his NDA covers in that sense. So, like, yeah, it's hard to say what he's been told not to say. And
yeah.
Yeah. Pilgrim Media says Ms. Heard may be legitimately mentally ill. Oh, I think we can establish that during the trial.
Shitting in the streets, then that's a confirmed yes.
Yeah, and that was brought up on the stand, and nobody's making fun of anybody's mental illness, but she is 100%. None of her diagnoses would prevent her from being 100% responsible for her actions.
Yes,
no,
that's true.
That's exactly right. Like, she's not, because those personality orders that she was diagnosed with, like histrionic personality disorder and what was the name of the other one? Borderline
bipolar disorder and a few other things.
It was those two, not bipolar. It was borderline.
Just personality disorder.
Yes.
Is that the one?
Histrionic.
Basically, like, she's not nuts. She is basically what that is. That is the diagnosis of an evil person.
Well, I wouldn't say that so much as she's got emotional disorders that do not give her exceptions for her actions. I think
no,
6
not
at best.
in the slightest. She knows.
So why do people like Musk and right?
With a taste of narcissism, don't forget that. That's the other thing. That's the deadly poison in there.
So why does she attract Musk and what's his name?
Because she's good at suckering people at first. She's very good at that.
Exactly. She's a manipulator because the borderlines, they are perfect manipulators.
She knows how to manipulate people into liking her.
Yeah.
Like, listen to her. Like, that was how most of us, and Darth knows what I'm talking about here, especially.
Yeah.
Because, like, you listen to those audio tapes and stuff that came out before the trial that we all listened to that the public hadn't heard yet, that they finally did get to hear in the trial. And that's why people started turning on her, because you could hear it. You could hear the way she would try to manipulate Johnny and the way she would just try to manipulate situations and everything for that matter. And no matter what it was, she was always the innocent person in the situation. Even when she sits there and goes, yes, I fucking hit you, Johnny. I did not punch you. She's even trying to diminish to what's the word I'm looking for? Deflate or diminish the impact of what she has done to him to try and make herself even look like a victim after she physically assaulted him.
Yeah, but it's also very acting, right? It's that personality disorder. Everything was a display. Everything was a front. It's like there's so many layers of this character before you can't scratch the surface to get to who she truly is as a person, because who she truly is these many layers of this kind of individual. Everything seemed like a performance. It was all performative, and you could see that when she was on the stand.
Yeah.
And there was one person, I can't remember who it was, but actually said something about Johnny that kind of painted him in a little less great light as far as this whole thing goes. And he said basically what Pilgrim Media said here: fun fact, crazy women are good in bed. Can't remember who said it, but he said Johnny liked to play with fire. It's no wonder he got burned. I can't remember who said that quote, but it was directly about him and Amber. Right, like people tried warning him about her from the start, I guess, is basically what this individual is trying to say. But culture has to leave us right now. But so before we get into this, Andre, unless you want culture to,
culture has to leave. But Dark King had this message for everyone, including for culture. Assume Comcast nails Disney for $20+ billion for Hulu by September 30th. If Disney can't cough up the money, what happens next? Go to court. Chapter 11. Bake sales. Just want to know what happens afterwards. Culture, you're the perfect man for this. What happens if they can't pay?
They can. They'll do what they will have to do. Some form of stock raid. Treasury stock trade. Stock treasury raid. They'll dive into their piggy bank. They'll get money from somebody else. They'll do as much as they can. The problem is if they were to hand over, and Valiant Renegade's on record saying the same thing, if they were to hand over, as much stock as it would take to write that off, that's a considerable portion of your company that you would be handing over to your enemy, who is really playing an enemy game right now. And Comcast isn't done. Hulu's just, one of the things that Disney's tied into. Now, Comcast is the largest cable distributor of all of the Disney products in the United States. Number 2 was Charter. You saw how that went. You can imagine that Comcast is going to hit them, bang them even harder for even more. And there's a decent chance that Disney, loses more ground when it comes to distribution on the linear side. And you can think what you will about the fact that everybody's cutting the cord, but that's going to be even a harder hit. But will Disney go bankrupt or have a bake sale? I love that idea, but no, they're just going to go and borrow money in whatever form or fashion they can. It's likely going to be a considerable portion of stock, but that could make Comcast Universal the largest stockholder, individual or institutional, I guess, or corporate stockholder of Disney. That isn't like anybody else. It's going to be weird, but no, this deal is going to go through. This is absolutely will happen. I'm not sure they're going to make the target they're aiming for, but it will happen, and they're trying to make all of the bad news that they have, which is a lot, happen before the end of this quarter, so that when they go in to report it, in a couple of months, there'll be less there in November, because when they roll into the following quarter's annual stockholder meeting, they're going to be in big trouble. You're going to have everybody and their mom ready to ask Bob questions, and they ain't going to be happy. But no, I think Disney will pull the trigger on this, and we'll be worse off for it. And all these streaming services are going to become way more expensive than they are now, believe it or not. That's all.
I'm predicting Lauren Jobs is going to buy a Disney. That's my prediction.
Well, there was another offer too, and we'll get into that in a little bit here. Thank you so much for being here this morning, though, Culture. Take care of yourself. Check out Culture Casino's channel.
Bye-bye, Culture.
Take care, Culture.
Indeed. So yeah, Byron Allen also put in a $10 billion bid for ABC. So that looks about to be where they're at for that. Because they denied that yesterday, but the trades were picking up on it, and it helped put a bump in their stock by about $4 or $5, I think it was. That the rumor was going around that they were looking to sell ABC, and this is basically what they're going to have to do at this point to make this $20 billion bill. This is kind of the rumor going around, is that they're scrambling right now to try and figure out what the fuck they're going to do to pay this. So yeah, I'm curious what y'all think about this, because that's the latest rumors. They're looking at selling ABC for around $10 billion is the recent offer anyway.
Well, they said about breaking up their companies anyway, so I can believe that they're going to do it. They've already started to make moves on that. They suggested it a few times now. So I wouldn't say it's a. I mean, obviously, the price value and the selling of that particular asset is a rumor, but it's not a rumor that they want to sell aspects of the business.
Yeah, and I mean, even if they want to, I mean, even if there's a possibility for Disney to go up for sale at some point, they're going to have to divulge themselves of a lot of this stuff anyway, is another thing I've been pointing out. Because almost anybody who, or divest, sorry, thank you. And because if they don't, they're going to have nothing but problems on the other end if somebody wants to buy them. So the more they get rid of, the more likely it is a bigger entity can suck them up, and that's where they're at right now. Because the rumors going around, and I'm starting to believe it, is that Warner and Disney are up for sale. And yeah, so I don't know what you guys think about that, Andre. Any thoughts on that, or Darth, or anybody?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see Disney in the hands of someone else personally, but I don't really have any deep opinions on it.
Well, the problem with that is that you're going to see them in the hands of Apple, and that's the last.
This is Apple. Oh, Apple's. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't hear that part.
But they fixed their cord, Andre. They're with it now.
Oh yeah,
I'm saying Lauren Jobs has the cash to do it.
Well, then I don't know. I think it's just all
Steve's wife.
Yeah,
but and that's where I think ABC.
We're losing Mr. H here. So,
okay.
Mr. H, any thoughts on this, real quick, before you have to bow out?
On the 20 billion Hulu thing and what's going to happen? Well, they've sort of raised debt before, haven't they? I mean, I wonder whether they can do that again, or I don't know. I mean, the whole thing's a massive S show. Disney is a massive S show. Yeah, I mean, we always report on it, how it's going downhill. I mean, this is the sort of icing on the cake, or the foundations of the company crumbling at this point. Like, it's not, these things are not good. And there's many sort of layers to that. You've had, what was it? That news report. I can't remember who did it, but all the things between the two Bobs. There's multiple sort of vultures circling with respect to Disney. But this particularly, I mean, it's not good. Like this whole Hulu situation is not good. So I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I know they've raised debt before. I guess maybe they could try and do the same kind of thing, or
I don't even use
devalue their own business.
No.
We don't get it up here.
Yeah, it's US
we
based.
Don't get it. We don't get it, but
it's basically a wash for Disney. They don't need it, right?
Yeah,
and they're not going to utilize it in any way that's going to help them out. If worse comes, this is my guess right now. What's going to happen? I wish Culture was here to either argue with me or agree with me on this one, but my guess is, since they weren't able to find a partner quickly for ESPN, because I think that's where they were trying to get an influx of cash quick from Amazon, they'll probably just turn Hulu into ESPN streaming, is what'll end up happening. Or they'll turn it into their equivalent of what is it called, Star or whatever, everywhere else where they have the adult stuff and all that kind of stuff.
That's what we get in the UK.
They'll just switch it over to that. They're not going to keep it as Hulu, I bet, which is still dumb because they don't know how to do smart business.
I don't think companies should keep changing their names. It's kind of it's been happening a lot.
This is the company that spent $70 billion for 20th Century Fox and dropped the Fox name because they felt it was problematic, because it was, in their words, because of the whole Fox News thing. It's like, are you dumb shits or what? Yeah. When we talk about 20th Century Fox, nobody says 20th Century Fox. They all say Fox, because Fox has been associated with films for 100+ fucking years.
Yeah.
Okay. When people hear that dun 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 dun, they think of that. Yeah. They don't think about Fox News. They barely even think about Fox Network.
Of course, Hollywood makes everything political. They can't help themselves,
Yeah. But we were losing Mr. H.
Sorry, yes, Mr. H has to go. Sorry
for being here today.
No, thank you for inviting me. I could always drop in as and when I can, for sure. So yeah, do appreciate it. We'll have to get you on Darth News on the HCast sometime.
Love to. Fun. Seriously, man. I really
we'll
enjoy
make
talking to you.
Slide into my DMs.
No problem. I will. I'll do that.
It's my favorite podcast.
Oh dear. Right. Thank you so much, guys. Hope you have a great rest.
Take care, Mr. H.
Cheers.
Take care.
Bye, Mr. H.
All right. Was there another topic you wanted to jump into, Andre?
We do have a couple more that were relating to.
Oh, sure. Let's do them.
Ms. Turdikins.
Kitty Bear's here, and he says, well, this is becoming a shit show. Yes, indeed, it has. And we got this one already, but thank you again, Media.
How do you know that is not a Hershey's drop?
Depends on who you ask. They try to argue that that's what it was supposed to be, was chocolate pudding or whatever. I'm like, fuck that. It's a turd.
If it wasn't blurred out, I could give you a better guess, but the photo's blurred out.
I'm just saying that emoji looks way more like a Hershey's Kiss.
You were talking about the emoji.
The
emoji. No, I'm talking about the emoji.
I thought we were talking about Amber Heard.
Yeah.
If I send it as a super sticker to Tom, it's a turd.
Yeah, it's a pooper sticker then.
Yeah.
Super pooper sticker.
But thank you again, Pilgrim Media. Yes, fun fact, crazy women are good in bed. And I was corrected in the chat by Mecha J. That was Elon they were talking about. That's right. Thank you for correcting me, Mecha J, on that as well. Who said the whole playing with fire bit. That was what the...
Okay.
Yeah, let's see here. We got Glade Ribbon who says, or did we have any more on Amber Turd?
That was it for Amber.
Okay.
We can move on.
Glade Ribbon says, Bill Willingham put Fables into public domain just to cheese over DC because DC keeps trying to cheese him over.
I saw that headline today.
Now, is this tied in with the whole Alan Moore news? Because if it is, we can just jump right into that.
Yeah, that does sound like that, because so basically Bill Willingham evidently is not too big a fan of DC Comics, it would appear, but neither is Watchmen creator Alan Moore, who has of course been very critical of DC for many different things over many different years, beginning with Watchmen, which is something that he obviously wrote for them as a work for hire, meaning that Warner has all of the rights. But apparently, and this is something that I learned from Ethan Van Sciver, because he did a video on this, so kudos to him. Apparently, there was a handshake deal between Alan Moore and the management at the time, saying that, yeah, okay, we're not going to merchandise this in any kind of way because it's that big a deal for you. And then apparently later on, there was like one executive that decided, you know what, screw that, we're going to do a watch. And they did. And that watch was a very, very big insult to Mr. Moore, who vowed never to work for DC ever again. And then many years later, someone else decided, you know what, that dude, he's not coming back. So let's just monetize this stuff anyway. There's no reason to deny ourselves profits for someone who ain't coming back no matter what. And since then, he's just been bitter. He's refused to watch any movies that's based on his work. And now, most recently, he has suggested that DC donate their proceeds from his work to BLM of all causes. And he's also taken to attacking fellow creators. In this case, Frank Miller, whose work on Batman he claims to be sub-fascist and a little bit too Birth of a Nation.
But it wasn't all bad. He did shit on the guys who remade Watchmen, the series.
Oh, well, I guess even the broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah, he said it was a bit too Birth of the Nation. Or was that the Dark Knight thing he said? Oh, either way.
The Dark Knight stuff.
Yeah, but he also was bitching about what they did to Watchmen, too. Because somebody sent him some shit. Someone from the show sent him some shit, and he sent off a letter to Warner Brothers. He goes, I told you guys under no circumstances was anybody supposed to contact me, period.
Yeah, this seems to me more a grace of...
and then he went to bitch about the show from what he heard about it or something like that.
Alan Moore always having been a little bit... What's the appropriate term? A little bit special? And he appears to have only gotten more special throughout the years. But Mr. Chato, you've dealt with creatives. Is this a common thing among creatives to go off on rants against both the company and fellow creators like this? Is this something you have much experience with?
Well, insofar as creators are concerned, the one thing I've learned as a member of management is don't give them too much. Don't give them the amount of power they want. Although that has a double-edged sword. I mean, you take a look at Oda and his whatever contribution he made to One Piece. Apparently, it was good. I don't have a lot of time for creatives that want to go outside of their lane, and that's a strange thing to say. But I mean, if you're a cartoonist, you're a cartoonist. If you're a comic book writer, then you're kind of a comic book writer. That's what I have found over the years. I mean, I'm a sketch comedian. I write sketches. It's hard to get out of that lane. And Alan Moore talking about sub-fascist. The first thing I thought I was, okay, is this about U-boats? So, again, I think he's just getting more and more demented with age. He hates everything, but this is not unusual for him. This is part of his modus operandi. Hell, Heinlein, his books are very militaristic, but you can choose to read them or not. I don't know why he needs to go on a rant about other people's stuff.
What is sub-fascist? What is that? I don't even know what that.
I don't know what that is. That's what I'm saying. Is it a U-boat?
Yeah.
I don't think that he knows what it is either, because so many use the term fascist when what they really mean is authoritarian. They use it without context, because fascism was actually very specifically a ruling form in Italy, which has echoes to many places today, where basically you have the authorities using private enterprise to enforce their power. Like, for instance, if you have the leader of state telling private corporations that, you know what, you can enforce this legislation better than I can, so you are going to enforce it on our behalf. That would be an example of Italian fascism in the true literal sense. Now, I do not think that that is quite what Alan Moore is meaning here. So when
he's not
sub-fascist, I can only assume that Alan Moore is no longer aware of what fascist actually means. That he just like so many British punks of the 70s and stuff like that, uses the term as a replacement for general authoritarian without knowing what it actually means. That's what he's trying to say. That is like a little bit authoritarian inclined, I think would be what he would mean, just looking from the context. But then he's using the term wrong, like most people using the term fascist.
I think he's switching it around with like a subcontractor. Like it just doesn't, I don't think it applies properly.
Yeah. He's always been off the beaten track, which is one of the reasons why he was adorable. But one of the things that you learn when you deal with an aging person is the thing that you like least about them gets worse as they get older. That's what's happening here.
Why do you think that is? Do you think it's just because as you get older, you just stop giving a fuck about what other people think?
No. I think
you just kind of fester.
Actually, yes, yeah. It's more a part of your core personality that you initially admit, and number two, the people around you put up with.
Okay.
And that just gets worse. I mean,
basically becomes a more extreme version of himself.
Well, yes, whatever it was about that person you didn't like, that's what gets worse when they get older. That's what we're seeing with poor Alan here.
Probably. I think you're onto something there.
Yeah.
This was always there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it got channeled into some pretty fantastic comic material.
It did indeed. But
so let's Alan, we love you for the stuff that you've done.
Some of the stuff he's done. A lot of the stuff he's written has been kind of bad.
Well, you're more well read than me.
Well, when it comes to Alan Moore stuff, maybe, yeah. But listen, Alan Moore, he definitely wrote a big anthology, or not so much anthology, a big story on fascism with V for Vendetta, where the government has hired the Finger to enforce all of their rules and laws and whatnot. He then wrote a handful of interesting shorts, floppies of Superman, Batman, and is very well noted and regarded for Watchmen. But I think the best stuff he's done was probably his Swamp Thing take. But he's always been a man who's very much off his rocker. He's anti everything except himself, essentially.
And if you read about his writing process, not that it removes a little bit of the respect that you have for him, and not that somebody has to be wonderfully organized before starting to write something, but he really didn't know what he was doing, according to what I've read with the Watchmen. It kind of just evolved. So is that genius or just good improvising? So I have a problem with giving somebody that much credit when they're kind of figuring stuff out as they're going and just feeling their way. That's very different from someone who plans out, a work of genius.
His taxes must be a mess because he's Warner Brothers has got to be sitting on a small fortune, if not a large fortune, of what they owe him that he's never accepted. And now he's telling him to send it straight to BLM. Well, unless he does his taxes and gets receipts, how the fuck does he know they're even bothering? But going back 30 years, he must be owed millions of dollars from just all this shit that he's refused to take.
Yeah, he's off his rocker. Yeah, and BLM already has, it's in the States at least, is a bankrupt organization that is anti-Semitic, and the NAACP has severed their relationship with them. So he's obviously not reading any news publications.
Yeah, and no community with the money they raised ever saw that money.
Correct.
Nope. Oh, as we learned,
wretched. It went all
it's a scam.
Yeah, it's a giant scam.
Giant scam.
Which is a good lesson to check every single charity or whatever it is you're trying to donate to, or what tries to appear to be helping other people. It always pays to kind of check into that, because you'd be surprised how little actually goes in most cases to actually the actual,
cause.
But in this case, I'm not surprised at all. I wasn't surprised at all when I heard that news. So yeah.
BLM basically is an amulet for companies who want to hide their gross activities.
Yeah, and
it's basically to buy virtue. Like you pay money and you do a virtue signal.
You got it. That's right.
And but of course, it doesn't do anything for the cause you're supposedly fixing. Nothing at all.
No. That's exactly what they're for.
Yeah.
Yep. It's like when Disney throws in a quick little same-sex kiss scene just to be like, "Oh, we picked a side,"
That's
it's a virtue signal. It means nothing. Yeah.
God damn it! Show me the turkey baster.
Yeah. Well, that's what I got hexed over. So.
By the way, speaking of Amber Heard, I'm at a friend's cottage, and this is a tiki bar. Look what I found. This unusual.
You're gonna get us blocked on fucking YouTube, man.
That
Jesus.
is a dildo.
Bottle opener. Huh.
That's
a bottle opener.
A bottle opener, my ass. That'll open something, all right.
You can do it with your ass too, but
you
in
could.
this particular case,
you open enough bottles and you can stick that wherever you want.
That's what I was thinking. Holy shit!
You stick it in your ass and then you open the bottle.
Might get a splinter.
Yeah, we made it.
I just
Amber,
noticed.
Oh my god, the car.
Oh my god,
the car. Oh my god.
You can cut my part out here.
I guess. Jeez, let's keep moving along here past Alan Moore, unless anybody else has anything to say about him.
No.
Doug 1980. Yeah, Doug 1985 says, "I want a live action Akira film with Tom as Tetsuo. I don't know how to say that. Script doctor is Kaneda, and Andre has to be the colonel." So there you go. I haven't seen Akira in a long time. I do have it on 4K though.
Yeah,
I should watch it.
Isn't that
again.
anime?
It is.
And Tom is well on his way to being.
But it's a movie,
weeb.
And I actually saw that years before, and that's why I bought it. But I'm far from becoming a weeb.
That's what we all say.
I'm the weeb.
Midnight Edge anime will be here in no time. Maybe
Doesn't mean I will be there.
Midnight Edge Weebo or something.
Yeah. Weeb Wars. Tripping Orc has become a member. Thank you so much. Chloe says, seeing as The Force Awakens came out at the height of MoviePass, how much of that was true profit, seeing as MoviePass turned out to be a Ponzi scheme? It's a good question. Darth, you were about to say?
No, I was saying I actually used to use MoviePass all the time. I would, pay it was like $12 a month, and every movie's like $1.
I tried. I couldn't get the damn thing to work, so I canceled it.
Oh, damn. Yeah, well, where I lived in California, that was like where they kind of launched it for those specific theater
It's still
areas.
technically around as far as I know, ain't it?
Is it?
I think so.
Oh, damn. I thought they went bankrupt.
I think somebody else bought it, and they still run it on a similar kind of idea, but it's not as wonky as it used to be, I guess is my
I
understanding.
know I've
But
heard
anyway.
Chris Gore talk about something.
Well,
some
see,
buying
AMC
thing that
has
he
their
does.
own thing, and that's what he
Yeah.
does.
Okay.
Yes, he does the
And I think
AMC
even
one.
some of the other theaters already have their own version of it too. But yeah,
I mean, I would probably look into it if I actually wanted to go see half these movies that are even in theaters.
yeah, that's.
I mean, it takes a lot to like nowadays, which I mean it's sad to say because it shouldn't take a lot to get someone to go see a movie in a theater, but I have just not been intrigued by too many films, especially this year.
My favorite movie of the year, my two favorite movies of the year so far have been streaming films.
Oh yeah, which ones?
Tetris and Air.
Oh, I love Tetris, and then I watched Air based on your recommendation on the other
What'd you
stream.
think?
Man. I liked it. I liked it a lot. I didn't know that story. I didn't know that story about Michael. I actually liked how they didn't show Michael like ever.
Yeah.
They always had him in the background or turning his face, or they would be. I liked that because it wasn't about him. It was about the shoe and the people that made it into what it became. Well, I guess really,
Yeah, and-
Michael Jordan made it what it was, but it was a
But
great
Matt
film,
Damon's
yeah.
character
Yeah,
was more around. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but Matt Damon's speech at the very end at that table, oof, I was like, damn, if that doesn't sell
Yeah.
anybody over, I was like, that was good. Good
And I
writing.
guess that's one of the things that actually happened too.
Yeah, I did hear about that. I read about it after the movie. Whenever I see a movie based on a true story or about true events, or I always look into the actual after I watch it just to see what was,
Well, and they did a good job making his mom look like a very smart businesswoman, and
Yeah.
not just that, but knowing what's best for her son and all that kind of stuff. And
yeah, the parents did a really good job.
but anyway, yeah, that's a good point though, Chloe. I don't know if that affected the box office at all, but now that we're learning how much those movies really cost, because Forbes had put out, what was it, roughly a month ago, that The Force Awakens cost over $530 million to make, and that's not even counting advertising. And then recently, I think it was just yesterday or the day before, Valiant Renegade came out with the report on the other films as well, and I'm sure we'll talk about that in the near future. Because I didn't catch the exact amounts on those, but I'm assuming they're right around the same area. The only one I think that I remember offhand, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think The Last Jedi was the cheapest of the bunch. And that's just because they didn't have any reshoots. They went right into shooting it after The Force Awakens. So I'm assuming they just amortized a lot of the costs from The Force Awakens into The Last Jedi. But then you got to remember, the rest of the films all got reshot over and over and over again, all the way from Rogue One through Solo and Rise of Palpatine. In fact, they're still shooting The Rise of Palpatine right now in the desert somewhere with a blue screen.
Are they really?
Probably.
Damn.
You have been had.
So yeah, I'm sure this helped a little bit, but at the same time, the way that system worked, I know we did a video on it way back when too. And I remember doing a lot of research on it, and that's when I kind of realized that this is not a sustainable system. There's no way they can, because if they're paying out to the studios the full amount of the ticket, then if somebody goes to more than, say, 2 movies a month, the company's out money. I don't care how many subscribers you have, unless you've got over half of your subscribers not going to more than 1 movie a month or no movies a month and still hanging on to the subscription. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
And that's why they were fighting to get deals with the theaters and stuff. And the theaters are like, why should we do a deal with you when we can just do our own deal?
Yeah, and that's what they started doing.
Exactly.
Like
and
a
the
gym
AMC
membership that you're paying for and you're not using.
You'd be surprised. A lot of people do that, Six. In fact, I'm notorious for that, especially with subscriptions. Like, in fact, up until recently, I think Hulu, I canceled this last month here, and a few others that I had for the longest time just because I was grandfathered in on a price. But at this point, I realized, like, I have not watched Hulu in months. I don't
thought
care.
you would never get rid of Hulu.
I did. It's gone. And the only things I'm down to is I get Disney Plus for free still for my kid because he has Verizon. I have HBO Max, which I'm really thinking about just canceling for a while because I use that, but not as much. And then just hanging on to Netflix, and I get Amazon Prime just because Amazon Prime. But even like Apple and some of those other ones, I'm thinking of dumping. But there's something on Apple, I can't even remember what it was that I want to watch here soon and whatnot. But I'm getting down there. I'm slowly carving them out of my life because I don't need them.
Mm-hmm.
You can write them off. These are tax deductions for us who are.
Yeah, Mikey does, I'm sure. I mean, he's the one who handles all that stuff, but I don't understand numbers. That's why
could be a tax write-off.
Yeah.
Pardon me, what?
Yeah, if you're making content reviewing stuff that is exclusively on those services, yes, you can write that off as a.
I wish he'd quit going around telling people I got fucking $2 million worth of movies, though.
You might, though.
It's not even remotely fucking true.
So if you're making money, let's say a few shekels here on YouTube, Darth, all that's everything that is in relation to what you do here can be written off.
Indeed, every collectible you buy, every movie ticket, everything that you need for the YouTube channel is a write-off.
Just make sure technically you mention it on a stream.
Right.
Yeah, technically your trip to the Amber Heard trial could have been written off.
True.
Damn. Well, I still have my receipts, so
that's right. Hey, you can go back. We'll hook you up with if he wasn't so busy today doing taxes as it was, we'd hook you up with the greatest tax man of all time. The Mexican Iron Tax Man.
What if I'm making money for other people's channels?
Well,
that's a donation.
It depends on whether you're an employer.
If we give you a receipt, you can write it off on your taxes.
No.
Oh, that's right, because we're not a charity. That's right.
No, so that's.
Although Andre might argue it feels like a charity sometimes, but
you need your own channel 6 and make just tons of money off of YouTube. Like we all
I'll get right on that.
Channel
in
6
my spare
news
time
with April 06. We got Pinochet's helicopter tours in the house. Says every time an actor or writer starts yapping and complaining, all I hear is John Hurt screaming, "I want everybody to remember they need us." Well, and that's what I love about Script Doctor. He understands that you're only worth what you make yourself worth, right? And he was the first person, and I was so happy to see that. And click like and share his tweet that one day when talking about earlier when Mr. H was asking him that question about do the people in Hollywood really realize that we don't give a fuck? like we really just hear kind of like and we don't care.
I think they only pay attention to like the Twitterverse X. They don't even know we exist, or they know we exist, but they think that we're inconsequential. But
the ones that aren't helping the industry are the ones that are basically stuck on social media,
making the most noise too. On top of it all,
yes, exactly.
Yeah, I'd like to talk to the guy who is rumored to want to buy ABC because I don't know what he thinks he's going to be able to do with it.
You don't remember Byron Allen? He had his own TV show for a while.
He's head of Entertainment Inc. or Entertainment Productions. A lot of his history is very similar to what Bob Iger was doing. He buys up other smaller companies to make himself bigger. Him buying ABC is not. It could be good. I don't know. He likes to make low budget stuff, so that's a boon to his prowess as a one-time comedian turned entertainment mogul. But I don't know. I don't see. He must see something in ABC the rest of the world doesn't.
Well, Disney certainly hasn't used it. They have not created any kind of synergies between.
No. And I think that's where he's seeing the value in it plausibly is that this is still one of the biggest networks. Mm-hmm. And most people won't notice the change or difference. See, and that's kind of going off of like, I disagreed a little bit earlier. I didn't get to pipe in then with the whole thing Andre was saying about most people know that this DC universe is dead. No, most people in the general public, as far as I know, see it as they still have the same characters. This is the same old shit that we had 10 years ago. It's the same thing here. they could sell ABC tomorrow, and unless they change things so astronomically that people actually notice a change, no one will notice a change. It's kind of the same thing with the strikes. Nobody's even noticing there's a change. Why? Because they weren't watching most of these shows that are affected by it anyway.
Well, that's
at least in
point.
the media.
Yeah.
Exactly. The general audience does not pay attention to the shit we do, and they do not care because they've got so much other shit in their life to worry about than this kind of crap. Right? Like,
yeah.
And I am well aware of that. And I think that as soon as the actors and the writers and the studios all learn that, then maybe they'll start changing their ways and start working together. But until that happens, I can see this just continuing on through the winter.
It could, but it comes down to the fact is who controls what gets made.
That too.
The people paying for it. And if people haven't been watching television or streaming shows in the abundance that is expected, you have to point the finger at the people that are making those decisions. And guess what? As much as we would love it to be the writers and actors, it's not. It's
you're right.
At the top. And don't get me wrong, there's plenty of writers and actors that are not helping their case. Like they're very antithetical to what should be happening.
No, but going back to finish script, my bad.
It comes back to this, is that if, say, he does buy ABC, if we see more budget-conscious television, if we see stuff that is not in supportive of the traditional Disney brand, people are going to notice, and them actually might generate more interest back into ABC.
That's true. See, if anything, I'll agree with you there more. Like, more people are noticed of how bad Disney has gotten lately, or there's things about them that they don't like for whatever various reasons, whether it's to the politics side of things, or it's just gotten to the point where they're just like, yeah, no, they're just not what they used to be, and I'm sick of seeing all these remakes or whatever it is, just the general, consensus.
I mean, to the point of the restaurant analogy, which is used quite often, it's if a waiter is giving you bad service, not only do you accost the waiter, you also go to the management and be like, why did you hire this person? Where are the people going to the studio saying, why did you hire these people?
Oh yeah, well, we kind of are in this at this point. See, that's the thing, is we've been saying it for years now. And what I was going to say is this: when I didn't mean to interrupt you, there was, this is the difference between now and say like the 2007 strike, which we talked a little bit about earlier. I would say most of the public was kind of more on the side of the writers and actors at that point, because we all know that it's easier for us to all get behind the idea that a corporation like a studio is a bad thing, right? We can understand that. That's easier for us to get behind, and we support those who are actually doing the footwork, and we know that they're the ones who are actually making the things that are making the studios money. But at this point, this is where a lot of people are just going, I don't give a shit for both parties at this point. Mm-hmm. Both, like you just said, the studios are the ones who put them in this mess in the first place, and the rest of them, well, we don't care about any of them because we're not missing them right now. Because most of the stuff that people watch anymore is majority older stuff, and it's become more of
model stuff. Yeah.
It's become more of a surprise if they actually have something new, like One Piece that actually is a hit, right? Like that's a surprise as opposed to the other, where when people are like, oh, Suits is suddenly a hit all of a sudden. No, I'm not surprised, because like you just said, it's like classic television. People want that. They want the older kind of stuff, not in a sense they want to be like live in the past, and that's not what I'm saying, but they want the older models. They want the comfort food. Shit, sometimes in the morning when I get up early before the show, when I actually happen to do that, I'll throw on the CBS morning news just to have it on the background and the noise, just to have it, because it's like that old, just the nostalgic feeling of the house waking up. You know what I mean? Yeah. You have the news going on in the background, breakfast is cooking, and whatever's going on for the morning to get started. That, I think people are missing that. And you don't get that with streaming. That kind of,
Well, streaming has kind of turned films and movies into content, especially with Marvel. It's just, I just feel like
100%.
It's literally, even Bob Iger called it content, and I'm like, dude, you should be making movies. Like this isn't YouTube. Like you're making art, and you should treat it as such. But they treat it as content, and they just push out as much content as they can, and it's just, God, it's just.
Well, there's a lot of directors and filmmakers and creators who are saying the same damn thing.
Right. But like every Marvel movie will change directors every movie, and it's always the same looking movie. It's like, it's because they have no real creative control.
Exactly. That's one of Disney's biggest flaws. And I have actually been studying doing an aggregate across the streaming services. And guess what? Disney is the only one that has inconsistent runtimes for all their television shows. Max usually does, if they're doing a half hour, it's closest to a half hour as possible for every episode. If it's an hour, it's closest to an hour every episode. Same thing with Paramount Plus. Same thing with Hulu. Netflix is a little bit more flexible, but it's trying to be closer. Disney is the only one that actually produces a series where one episode is 22 minutes and another episode is 48.
Yeah, I noticed that with some of their Marvel
52.
shows.
I think the last one was 52, but that included all the credits and the all the
Speaks
preamble.
Yeah,
it speaks to the whole point that the other guys are at least thinking ahead to where, when it comes to Paramount and Warner, they're like, well, maybe we'll want to play this on regular TV, so we have to structure it that way. Disney is doing the opposite, and that's the rumor going around right now, or the saying that's going around, is they tried to kill cable television, and almost tried to kill network television, and now they got bit by it, and that's probably why they're just going to turn around and sell ABC. But we need to move on with these super chats here. Mech1164 says, don't know if you've seen HBO Discovery. CFO complains that there are too many freeloaders for their product, wants to increase prices to stop churn. On that very note,
oh yeah, that'll do wonders.
That'll
the exact
fix
opposite
How does
of
that
what they
work?
do.
that'll do the opposite. Yep.
until they start producing, shows and movies that we want to see. Like that are worth paying a higher price for. People are going to leave their services, in my opinion.
I mean, Game of Thrones is Thing of the Dragon is not enough.
House of the Dragon. Yeah,
and that's technically not even a streaming only show. That's from HBO initially. And that's where I was saying they know how to synergize this stuff, and not to drag the whole thing out, but this kind of puts a cap on what we were just saying. And this super chat right here, this is what the fundamental problem and the streaming wars and all the studios did not understand when they got into this. They we want a Netflix. Why don't we just do our own thing? We've said that a million times, but they didn't realize what made shows famous and stuff like that why Netflix was able to have a show like Stranger Things be a huge hit like it was by the time they decided, oh, we need to start doing our own stuff, they had already set themselves up as the only ones in the industry, because they were getting all the Disney movies, all the Fox movies, all the Warner movies, all the Sony movies. They had everybody's fucking movies on Netflix. So everybody already had them. So when Stranger Things popped up on there, they had the audience to broadcast it too. You keep losing your fucking audience. You can put the greatest fucking show of all time, the most expensive, brilliant fucking show I've ever made, and nobody's going to be there to see it because they're not going to watch this shit because they're not paying $20 fucking a month for one streaming service.
No. And it's not just one. I mean, think about how many people actually have 3, 4. They pay for maybe 5 streaming services, and they're paying more than they were for their cable.
Well, no, it is the cable.
Better
That's
idea.
the thing. It's the next generation.
I have a better idea. I think they should have a streaming service for just one show, and you got to buy 100 streaming services. That's my thought. Yeah.
Well, that's the late '90s cable packages. Really, it's like you get one channel for one area of shows. I remember for Bell, they had one channel. It's all Toronto Maple Leafs, old games and new games, 24/7. That's all it was. It's like that, and it was like $7.99 a month. It was crazy.
But those are still multiple shows. I'm just talking about one episode of a show. That's all I'm saying. You want to see the second episode of Game of Thrones? You have to get to the second episode of Game of Thrones channel.
Yeah, it's like a drug.
I'm a genius.
First one's for free.
That's right.
You want some more?
I have all of them except for Apple Plus, because there's nothing on Apple Plus that I want to watch. But I think 2 of them is my sister's accounts. We share, and I get the lowest tier. I don't mind commercials. So, I just like the convenience. When I want to watch something, I want to be able to few clicks and watch it.
Yeah.
Crave I can only watch on my computer. Although I found out I can Chromecast it to my TV, but don't tell Crave.
Jason Webster says, recommend Korean films Unlocked and the next Sohee. Now, I don't know about the next Sohee, but I was just hearing about Unlocked. Yeah. I don't know if you guys are familiar with them at all, but
no,
I'm not.
And I believe Unlocked is on Netflix, if I'm not mistaken. But we got Jonas in the house. How you doing, Jonas? Says, great panel. Midnight's Edge is the gold standard in live streaming. Andre, where should I start with? Oh, I meant to save this one for last. Shit. But yes, where should he start with the Conan comics? Hang around, Jonas. We'll get back to that one. But we have Alec Devlin, who's been gifted a membership by Jesus Davila. Thank you so much. Many Dragon, and who else? A few more. I know Jesus had gifted a few memberships. Thank you for that, Jesus. And those who received them, I'm sure, are appreciative of them. John Stallcap says Sound of Freedom broke the $210 million thanks to Latin Armor.
Wow.
Latin America market. Yes, this is true. In fact, it's doing very well. They still haven't got a set date for home video yet, although we've been hearing rumors.
It has been released in the UK too.
I don't even think it still hasn't got a video on demand.
So when I went to go see Sound of Freedom, I saw it opening day, and because I heard it was Mel Gibson produced it, and I was like, oh, it's about child sex trafficking. Like maybe this is an important movie to go see. So I went and saw it with my girlfriend, and after like the first 15 minutes, the lights turned on all the way. It made the screen look like kind of white, like you couldn't. It was hard to see the screen. That's how bright it was, and we're like, what the hell? We thought they were going to turn off. And then we kept looking up and we're like, and I saw this dude who, when I turned around, he was up in the projector screen and he like ducked. I'm like, what the? So we sat there for like another 5 minutes and they weren't turning him off. So I went to management and they're like, yeah, we can't get the lights to turn off. I'm like, what do you mean you can't? Like, what does that mean? What do you mean? They're like, well, we can give you your money back. I'm like, are you sabotaging my movie? Is that? And then I found out that it happened to hundreds of people in theaters across the United States. And I'm like, that was a coordinated attempt to get people out of the theater. In my opinion, I think there's no other reason.
Employees. It was employees.
Yeah, we did some research on it, and that's what the conclusion we came to anyway. But we're not sure if that's true. It's more so just like a group of employees that were woke that were trying to organize, and they possibly were trying to organize behind the scenes.
Well, I mean, if you look at the people that work at the theater, I definitely possible.
Wow.
Because I mean, yeah, I highly doubt that anybody at corporate level would be happy with something like that. And they even spoke out on that with the producers and such.
But you know, different studios kind of tried to kill the film before.
Yes.
So it's like it. I mean, it's a conspiracy, obviously.
The only thing, yeah, and I thought that too. And then we discussed it and we did a little investigation, and it makes more sense that the theaters are not going to want. They don't give a fuck. Especially right now, it's a big FU to the studios to have a movie like Sound of Freedom make the kind of money it is. In fact, I know they're salivating over this Taylor Swift movie.
Some of the viral videos, you have like the actual theater manager, like come out and like give them a run of the mill excuses, and it's like, well, is the management in on it too, or is it just the like? I don't get. You know what I mean?
My point is basically like you just said. You go to any one of these places, chances are 90% of their employees are going to be the wokest of the woke.
Yes.
And they all felt the same way. Yeah.
Are they going to be activists to the point where they're going to do something like that?
Yes, they would. Yep. I would believe it out of them before I would believe that the actual like corporate is telling them to do that. Yeah.
No, it's not corporate.
They sell them pins at my theater. Like, so it's like, yeah, wow. I think, yeah, it's I'm just like, what?
So all you need is one person to fill an entire theater.
Yeah.
They're they.
Yeah.
Well, wasn't it the AMC president or CEO or whatever who came out and made a statement saying that they were absolutely not, supporting that. And that
well, and it makes no sense. And that's kind of another time where I'm like, yeah, I mean, why would even any, because they
want to make money more than anything.
And they are not being friendly with the studios right now. So why would they even play in? And what does Disney have anymore to really play their card, right? Because I could see that because Disney has done practices like this in the past. They've done nefarious practices.
Didn't they buy up seats for Captain Marvel?
That was through the they had a feminist group that they bought up a bunch of seats, and that was the other thing is they were trying to paint the Angel Studios Pay It Forward program much like the Golden Open and the Feminist Opening and the Black Panther Opening, where they literally had it was a completely different situation as far as I'm concerned, because the Pay It Forward program, the way it worked is you as an individual could donate to that program, and then if say somebody who could not financially afford to go see the movie or whatever, you go in, you fill out an application, and you literally get your tickets that way. The way the other programs worked was they were taking women's organizations, Black movement organizations, and Chinese rights organizations, and having those charities pay for the tickets
directly. Yeah.
So and they were trying to paint that as the same kind of thing. And we're like, that's where I was jumping in saying, oh no, this is a completely different way that this works. Now, at the end of the day, the money is still going to the movie. That is true. But they're not like, There was people trying to say that, oh, they're just buying empty seats. It's like, no, they're not. That's not how it works. They're actually, you have to go in and apply for those tickets. Like you actually get a code.
Wasn't it that because I looked on their website and you would buy the tickets if you had some kind of organization. You buy
there was another
version and then you get reimbursed.
Yeah. So on the other side of that too, plus that, what they also had, and this is what Six brought to my attention, is that if, say, like I run a local organization and I buy a theater and for my organization and we go see Sound of Freedom, they will reimburse them up to, I can't remember how much percentage it was, but it was 75 or 80% through that program, through the Pay It Forward program. So all that was going to people actually going to see the movie, as opposed to the Disney stuff where it was just these organizations buying tickets. And that's where people were going, these were sold out shows, but nobody's here. Because they were busing people into these shows and they didn't have enough people to fill seats.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it was that if you had a theater that was 75% sold, then they would reimburse you. Or
that's what it was.
Like
sorry, yeah, I'm sorry, I had it backwards. That's what it was.
Yeah, that was several months ago. So
yeah. But yeah, so the way they were doing it was much different than the way that the whole Disney scam was.
Yeah, indeed. That about wraps that up, and thanks for the super chat. That was quite the discussion there, wasn't it? And then moving on with the super chats, Peanut Chase Helicopter Tour says for $2, more is mad. The left made V for Vendetta real. I'm not sure that he's going to see it that way. I think
he wrote it as the intent of the far right, but it turns out in reality, it's the
things
opposite.
don't.
He wrote it to criticize Thatcher. Yeah,
it's not always the side that you're rooting against, the one that gets hijacked and taken over. And Tom says that the anti.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
you're back.
Like my shit just went total ape shit on me. I was like, what the fuck?
You've had problems with that, Mike, ever since you know.
I don't like this. It was more expensive than a Blue Yeti, and I think I'm going to go back to a Blue Yeti. I'll be 100% honest with you.
Is that a microphone or a thermos?
I got HyperX. I
was just going to say, don't say the brand name in case they want to be a future sponsor of Midnight's Edge.
Oh, okay. Oh, nice.
I won't sponsor. We that's one thing we won't. Yeah, we don't fuck with people who we won't use. In fact, that reminds us, Andre.
It does indeed. This is a good time for it.
Because Andre's trying to make my life different. Yes, I was going to say something else, but
yeah, I am because Tom is working his ass off, and this is good and well. But since Tom is busy working his ass off, he doesn't have time to make proper food. Tom has a problem. Tom likes tasty food. Tom likes
Taco
pizzas
Bell
and Taco Bell and these kinds of things, which I don't blame you for. They're delicious, and they're fast, and they're easy, and they're cheap, and they're going to put you in an early fucking grave. And we can't have that because I need you toiling for me for a long, long time to come.
So we got a new sponsor, and we have an idea that we might work on here. We're curious what you guys think about it. Would you guys like to see over on Midnight's Edge After Dark my journey to trying to eat better and lose weight via our new sponsor, Factor 75? Now, this isn't even something we've proposed or talked to them about yet, actually. So shouldn't you be saying this?
Well, what's the target?
Me not dying, I guess. I don't know.
Like what number of pounds will we set as the goal for you to achieve?
50 at least. I don't know.
Will it stop you from talking so much?
No,
it'll make him talk even more because he'll be more fit.
Just get a treadmill and just do your streams on the treadmill.
I just won't be so like all the time, probably, I guess. I don't know.
We'll take what we can get. But
hey, man, I'm always down for someone getting healthy.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We get a lot of sponsorship offers, and I know some people think that we accept too many sponsorships as we do, but actually we are very selective about them as a whole. And here is one that I am very proud to host for the channel, and one that I actually think is something really, really good. I've been thinking, where the hell was this when I needed it? So Tom, roll the clip.
Yeah, so here's our new sponsor, Factor 75. Check them out.
For most of us, prepared meals usually means frozen pizza and stuff like that, which unfortunately is anything but healthy. But it no longer has to be this way. Today, you too can have the luxury of having every meal be healthy and prepared for you, courtesy of Factor 75, the sponsor of this video. What they do is as brilliant as it is simple. As you can see from their website, they offer healthy eating made simple. All you have to do is pick your meals from a menu of more than 30 dietitian-designed meals every week. They will cook it to perfection and deliver it to you, so all you have to do is eat, and enjoy. Whether you work all day, game all day, or you are otherwise too occupied to make the healthy meals you know you should be eating, Factor 75 offers the convenience you need. Their no-hassle prepared foods ensure you always have something nutritious on hand when you don't have time to think about making lunch or dinner. Instead, you can just grab a prepared smoothie or keto shake for a quick snack, or heat and eat a chef-quality meal in just 2 minutes with no prep or cleanup necessary, so you can stay focused on what you love to do, or what you have to do, whatever the case may be. But what if you don't want any random healthy meals? What if you're on a specific diet? What if you're trying to turn your life around and you specifically need keto meals, with or without intermittent fasting, or vegan meals? Well, this is what I like the most about Factor 75. They deliver this and will help you reach your fitness goals. Wellness begins with food, and Factor 75 makes it possible for you to achieve your daily goals through nutritious, purposeful eating. Whether you want a specific diet or not, there is no prep and no mess, only dietitian-approved meals. Factor meals arrive pre-prepared and ready to eat in 2 minutes or less, even faster than ordering in. Meal plans offer variety with a rotating weekly menu of 34 plus meal options and 36 plus add-ons like smoothies, keto shakes, desserts, and more. So whether you just want the convenience of having meals prepared for you, or you want to turn your life around with a specific diet, Factor 75 has you covered. Use my link or go to go.factor75.com and use code POGMIDSEP50, that's POGMIDSEP50 for 50% off your first box. Click the link in the description or scan the QR code with your phone.
All right, there you go, guys. Check out Factor 75, and who knows, maybe you can join me on my journey when we get all the
Yeah, well, good for you. That would be
logistics.
That would be great.
Exactly, and like whenever I do like sponsors, like there's obviously a script, right? But I really did mean every single thing there, and the stuff about like keto and intermittent fasting, specific diet, that's my own contributions to it, because that's the first thing that I looked to when I was vetting this thing. Can you do intermittent fasting? That's something that I have tried, and it's like freaking hell. Can you do meat eater diet? And the answer is yes. This will support all of those things. So
they don't force you to buy a box of fasting, though.
No, that's an optional extra.
That better be cheaper than the meals.
I'm not
Actually, it would
certain.
be, because what that would mean is that you would only order.
I don't know if I can technically fast, but
okay, maybe you can't, but others can.
But part of my journey will be I'll have to obviously
let Andre finish.
Yeah.
Let Andre finish.
But yeah, that was just like the point. For some that are into intermittent fasting, all you'd have to do that is basically order the package with the fewer meals. There's your intermittent fasting. You order so that you have the 2 or 3 meals that you need per day, and you eat them at the appropriate time. Boom, there's your intermittent fasting, and the meal you order here will have everything you need, because then you order the one that is heavy in the meat and heavy in all of the keto promoting salads and everything. You can easily get there.
And you include the fasting box, which is empty.
That too.
Which then becomes a cat toy.
Yeah, there you go.
Cats like to sit in boxes.
That's the absolute truth. There is not one box, not one single box that goes through this house without Kunta Kinte inspecting it. He makes it his bed, he makes it his toy, it's whatever he wants it to be. Even if it's too small, he finds a way to fit. So that is true. He's a box inspector.
What I really like about that program for Tom is because Tom goes from stream to stream to stream, and he might have to run to the store, and then because Tom eats a lot of fast food because it's convenient. If he has the meals in the freezer or in the fridge, then he doesn't have to do the drive-through, because your time alternative is at a premium.
And I've been trying to do a little better.
Busy.
Yeah, and I've been trying to. In fact, I even got like I see Gordon Ramsay put out some meals, so I got like 2 of his things in the freezer right now. I'm going to try at some point here too. But no, this just happened to come by at this time, and I've been working with a dietitian, and that's what I was trying to say earlier. I technically can't fast, but what I will do is work with my dietitian, and I'll even work on trying to videotape as much as possible for you guys. If you guys are interested, I see you guys so far in the chat sounds kind of interested, so just let us know in the comments so we can kind of gauge and see if it's worth it or not, and then we'll talk to Factor 75 and we'll get it all worked out. So
yeah, leave a comment of support after the stream. Even if you're listening live, leave a comment.
I don't necessarily want that. I just want to know if you're interested. If you want to make fun of my fat ass, I don't care. Click's a click.
No, I'm invested in the journey. So if you do it, I'll watch it. And I'll tell people to watch it also.
Oh, well, thank you, Darth.
Yeah, man, of course.
Okay, leave a comment.
As long as we don't have to watch any of the enema cleanses, I'm fine.
No. And I'll do those myself.
Does that come with the meal preps?
Yeah, does that come with the tube?
He'll be streaming while he's prepping for the colonoscopy
category.
And our
that's for members only.
And our own Mexican Iron Man's in the chat right now. Speaking of, he's like our CFO or whatever you want to call it. Mexican Iron Man himself says, this is in support of the Tom Healthy Living Fund. 100 pounds reduction starts now. Here's Tom's first mental meal donation. I don't know why I said mental.
Mental.
Maybe because I need something to eat to keep my mental status up. Tom, I am ordering this when I get back to South Carolina. Let's do this. Oh, so he's going to do it with me. Well, you've already lost a bunch of weight. Talk about lose. Holy shit. Mikey looks amazing.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
He's been doing great. I know he's been working out with Paulie and watching what he's been eating. So he's kind of been an inspiration for me. So definitely glad to hear that.
Absolutely. Also, I see many people in the chat saying that, well, you don't need this. You can make it yourself. And yes, of course, you can make stuff yourself. And you probably should. But what if you don't have time? What if you have so many work commitments that actually making those meals is an extra bother? And if you had the opportunity to make them yourselves, you wouldn't be in this mess. Well, that is what's so good about this product. There's quite a few people, and I know this from my own experience, actually taking the time, doing the shopping, doing that several times a week. That is a hassle, especially when you really don't have time for it. That is the beauty with this product. So yeah, it's not for everyone.
Fits a lifestyle.
Exactly, it's something that fits the lifestyle.
And I'm looking at it now, and I'm like, wow, you can get 18 meals a week. That's pretty cool, because I could probably.
It's rotate, so it's different. It's different from some weeks from others, but it's always like you'll never have a hard time finding
with
something.
The variety,
so,
yeah.
Just don't eat them all in the first 3 days.
Yeah, that's kind of like why I'm like pushing this, because this is something I'm like, wow, this is something really good right here.
And then Mr. Tickle Trunk says, PayPaling Midnight's Edge for meal money tonight. Just do it. Oh, well, we're going to try and work something out with them, too. That's the other point. But, like, yeah. Thank you for the support, Mr. Tickle Trunk. And then we got Mr. Tickle Trunk also says, do it, Tom. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, I might have to pay.
Instead of a GoFundMe, they should create a GoFeedMe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sent Tom some snacks once. I sent him some individual packages of almonds and some prunes, so he'd have something to snack on at his desk. I don't know if he ate them or not, because I told him he could give them away for Halloween if he wanted to.
I forgot my prunes. Came up here. I'm going to be up here all weekend, and I'm going to have to deal with a giant blockage when I get home.
And Unlimited Power says, I'm 245-ish. I want to lose like 20 or so pounds and fit in an XL. I got a lot of shirts, though, I don't want to get rid of. Well, frame them. Frame them, and then you can see, yeah, that's what I use.
You can always, here's the beauty of it, is you can always wear a big shirt when you're smaller. You can't wear a small shirt when you're bigger.
Yeah.
This is true.
Or give them to your girlfriend. She can wear them for a
Oh
night.
God, yes.
And
yeah.
you can always divide one shirt in two if you get down to a certain weight.
That's true
Double
too.
them
And
up.
your girlfriend always looks sexier in your shirt than you do. Keep that in mind.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And Destiny Captain, I'd like that just to bring us back to reality here. Says I have cancer and I'm having to do fasting and such to starve the cancer. There is no cure for mine.
Oh man.
Well, yeah, I just want to say, well, I really wish you good luck with that. And thankfully, here's the beauty. Every study that I have read, of course, you know this already, which is why you're doing it. The single best cure against cancer, apparently, is intermittent fasting and going into basically the body cannibalizes itself. And what it's going to cannibalize first is stuff like that. So we wish
Hope
you
the
well.
best of luck,
really
man.
wish you well with that, Destiny Captain. Yeah,
keep us posted. Yeah,
keep us posted. We want to continue seeing you right here in the chat. We all want to hear.
Man, no,
oh man, yeah, viral that spread to lungs. We wish you the best of luck and sending you all kinds of positive energy. You do what you gotta do. You starve yourself because that is your best. That's your best bet at this point.
Just take care of yourself, man.
Yeah, take care of yourself. Take care
That's
of yourself.
the main thing.
Yeah.
And then we've got Sadie. Settle down, geesh. We got Hotesh the Conqueror who wants to know: have you spoken of Bill Willingham today? Yeah, we did a little bit. We didn't get deep into his subject, but we got into the Alan Moore subject.
Sadie wants to participate in your health.
Oh, she just got flustered by something.
She says,
outside.
"Take me for a walk, Tom."
I think she's got to go potty again. She saw a squirrel or something outside. But yeah, I don't have the story at hand here about Bill Willingham. But let me see if I can find it here.
I don't even know who that is.
He made Fables, and
we already.
we did discuss it.
Membership. Okay.
Yeah, just slightly, but not like the whole story. But couldn't afford to sue DC Comics, so Billy Willingham put Fables in the public domain. After trying and failing to get DC to negotiate in good faith, Bill Willingham has decided that everyone gets Fables. So there you go. I guess that's the story there. I don't know much about Fables, but
I've never read Fables, but according to this, he himself individually cannot publish any more new Fables stories, but anyone else out there can.
There you go. Yeah.
There you go.
And we got another ad. Fucking ads all over the place. Jeez. Thank you for that, Hotesh. Guess that's a win for the fans, at least. Maybe not so much for Bill. And then Scott Cook, not Sam Cook. That's a totally different person. Scott Cook says, I'm all for healthier living. Go for it, Tom. Well, thank you, Scott. I appreciate that. We got John Hudson, who's also been a member for 29 months. I cannot read today. Pinochet's helicopter says Giovanna Gentile found fascism. He was the socialist who was looking for a third way between communism and capitalism. The end goal of the left is always authoritarianism every single time.
Gentile.
Did I say it wrong? Giovanni Gentile.
Yeah, Italians pronounce every letter.
That's true.
They do.
Canon Faladero says Wizards grants gift to grifters, grist to Miller. Pilgrim Media says an anime weeb with a waifu well on your way. I have a waifu? I got Wi-Fi.
Different thing, yeah.
Yeah. Matthias Fredrickson says King Tom Forst Kong Endre Gangski Ait. Did I say it right?
Yeah, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. He says King Tom is still the king. Andre is pretty decent too.
Well, he said it in Norwegian, so I guess that makes it so. Yes.
I thought it said Andre was a gangsta. He is a
gangsta.
Yeah. It says gangsta. That means rather.
Ah.
He's an old gangsta.
Gangsta.
No, gangster is actually spelled exactly the same in Norwegian as and Swedish as in English because we stole it from you guys.
I can understand that. Dash Attack says the strike has so many leaks. It's funny to watch. SAG's attempt to halt movies, shows, and now games, maybe to death the union. That'd be funny.
The union's not dying.
No,
Sorry,
the
man.
union's
You're
not gonna
delusional if you
die.
think the union's going away.
No. Mitchell Andre says 1 channel per show. Love love Paul Chatto's humor. Yeah, that'd be interesting. They pulled that crap. That's almost just basically like buying it per episode then.
Per episode, that's it.
Yeah. Kalekioki says, rooting for you, Tom, and make sure you eat appropriately. Get your daily steps in, especially with Sadie. I expect you to look like Mr. H. I don't know about that in 2 years. What were we going to say, Darth?
Hey, I got breaking news. My channel with 1 million subs was just scrubbed from the internet.
Whoa, really?
Are you serious?
Yes, my heart's beating 1 million miles an hour.
The fuck?
Holy shit.
Go away.
This
do what you
account
need
has
to
been
do.
terminated.
By YouTube?
Well,
Yeah, it says this account has been terminated due to multiple or severe violations of YouTube's policy against spam, deceptive practices, and misleading content. What does that even mean?
Whatever the hell they wanted to.
How do
stands went after you is what probably happened. They probably bombarded you with flags.
Yes,
this is my. This isn't Darth News. This is my Darth Land.
The other one.
Yeah.
What was it called again?
Darth Land.
Let me make sure it's not there.
It's gone, dude. It's fucking gone.
This is on YouTube?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally gone.
Shit. How do I fight this?
You can appeal it.
I can't. No, I can't appeal.
You can't appeal it?
No.
Wow. That's some bullshit.
Do I need to get a lawyer?
Maybe.
Might be, yeah.
Like a YouTube like, dude, that's no, I can't. Dude,
I can almost guarantee
I
you
was
what
literally
it
about
was.
to get I was literally in talks with multiple sponsors like this week.
Do you have the recovery codes and all the ownership? You have well, that's all for having your channel stolen. There's a whole bunch of things that you need to do to be able to confirm that you are the owner of a channel if this has been stolen.
No, this is not about being stolen. This is being
this is worse.
This is somebody
much worse.
they flagged his ass to death, basically, is what happened here. And that would be my guess. And you're probably right. Your best bet would probably be get a lawyer on this.
Okay.
To be honest with you.
All
right.
My God, Darth.
Take to Twitter.
Take
to Twitter, and we'll definitely tag all the right people in it. And we'll definitely try and get.
This was an account with 1 million subscribers.
1,070,000.
I don't think the timing of this is at all. Yeah, like you just said, you were talking to sponsors with this fucking trailer dropping.
There was no warning for this.
No.
So
you'd already been demonetized, but yeah.
Right, but I didn't have any strikes. I had no strikes.
So you had zero strikes at all.
Yeah, but that's what this thing right here is for, like, due to multiple severe blah, blah, blah. And then they list spam, deceptive practices, misleading content, or other terms. You see, they basically just say the entire rule book. So they have like their back covered for there was something that we didn't like or that we think we shouldn't like, and don't even ask us for more details. They basically just hit you with the entire freaking rule book. And completely unjustifiably so.
Okay, well, I need to get on the phone with someone immediately.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, guys, but I'm gonna.
No problem. Check out Darth News. And like I said, post this on Twitter and stuff, and we'll definitely get it out there.
Okay.
Tag YouTube and all that stuff in it too.
Okay, I will do that. Hey guys, thank you so much for
keep me posted, man.
For having me on the stream. Appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah, everyone check out the Darth News other channel. Link is in the description. Go subscribe there right now. And yeah, we need to get the workout. That's the other place to go.
Okay. Yeah, man. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There you go. It's on the screen. Yeah. There it is. Yeah. So, all right, guys. Love you, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's great to have you today. Wow. Good luck. Keep us posted.
I will. I'll be back soon with you guys if you'll have me. So.
Oh, absolutely, man. Anytime.
All right, great guys. Great. Well, it's a pleasure meeting you.
Bye.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Oh man, that's some rough news. God.
I gotta say, this has been a very real stream.
Yeah.
Perverted Justice takes us out of the moment and says, update, St. Elmo's Fire makes sense when you're drunk. Okay. Are you talking about the movie or
the
Yeah, because I've heard you talk before about the movie, how the movie doesn't make sense.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, it's not so much that I didn't say it didn't make sense. I just said it doesn't really have a plot. It's just kind of events happening in a night kind of thing.
Yeah.
In the last, it's a reunion kind of movie. It's a big chill kind of movie. Yeah. Maybe that's what he's referring to. Well, thank you, Perverted Jester. Hadn't seen you in a while. Good seeing you. Warachi is here and says, rest in peace, Cardinal Sin. Indeed. Yes, he will be missed by the community. Jonas J. Campbell had this question earlier, so here's the time to do it. Great panel. Midnight's Edge is gold standard in live streaming. We appreciate that, Jonas. Andre, where should I start with Conan comics? This is the one that you were saving for the end. Where indeed, Andre, should an individual start if they're just cutting their teeth on Conan?
That is a very, very big question. And the beauty of it is that with Conan, you can actually start pretty much anywhere, because mostly every Conan story is kind of standalone. I can give you the basic setup for most of them, and that is Conan gets to a new place. He fucks shit up with his presence, and everything goes to hell from one fashion there in a most thrilling fashion, and then he leaves afterwards. And that is basically how most stories begin and end.
And then somewhere in the middle there, he usually uncovers some crap. I was just going to say, usually uncovers some crap or serves some justice, yeah.
Yes, and in between there, of course, you have some of the greatest storytelling, most classical storytelling there ever has been. And when you say, where should I start with Conan, comics? Here's like the thing. The gold standard, of course, is the original stories by Robert E. Howard. Most of them are absolutely fantastic. Which one should you Google? Okay. I will give you 3 stories. The first one is Tower of the Elephant. This is chronologically one of the first Conan stories, and it is the second Conan story written. This is the one that truly explores the themes which are prevalent in most of the stories, that of civilization versus barbarism. Because here you have a young Conan who's like 15, 16, and he's just left his homeland of Cimmeria, and he's experiencing civilization and the corruption of a city for a first time. So that is a good story to Google as an introductory story. Another one would be The Hour of the Dragon, which was later re-released as a standalone book as Conan the Conqueror. This is the full-length Conan novel that was written by Robert E. Howard himself. This one is the single most epic Conan story there ever was, and it deals with Conan the King. So this one is quite a different level from Conan the Young Thief, which he was in the other one. The final one is Red Nails. This was the final Conan story that Robert E. Howard ever wrote, which is kind of like all the themes brought to their full fruition. And then, but those are like advanced material for comics. You know what? You can just begin with the Titan comics, which are going right now. If not those, then the first couple of volumes of the Dark Horse comics is what I would recommend as like starter material, which also have been collected by Marvel Comics. Like the first 3 or 4 or 5 volumes. That's like the best starter pack that I could recommend. Script Doctor, you're also a big Conan fan. Where would you suggest that Jonas begin? Of course, I'm happy to give you a more detailed list off camera. Like you hook me up and I'll or ask me and I'll hook you up with a detailed list for recommendations. But Script, what would you suggest?
Well, I would always suggest, like you, start with the Robert E. Howard books. And then finding any of the Roy Thompson comics that Marvel did is pretty good. You have a better understanding of them than I, because I always I've got 2 versions. I've got kind of a soft cover and complete collections of Robert E. Howard, and I've got this big, thick leather-bound one, which I don't like to open too much because it's really delicate. So
I have it too.
So I read the soft cover. That's what I would stick to there. And then I'm very excited too. I've got them booked at a box at a comic book store, which is the Jim Zub's current run with Titan Comics of Conan. So I'm looking forward to those. But I would say, yeah, Robert E. Howard, and then some of the Roy Thompson stuff from I believe it's like the 70s with Marvel title, right? If I'm not mistaken. I'm a little vague on that.
That is correct. It's 1970 till 1980, and he started writing the Savage Sword of Conan in 1974. Right. Actually, the first volume then of like the collected Savage Sword of Conan, that may actually be the definitive of Conan comics.
And that's my contribution to that. But Andrea is far more of the expert on it than I.
Yeah. And then, since we're talking about that, Misu wonders, I want a Norwegian show recommendation, Andre. A book too, please. Okay. For a show, an introductory show, Lilyhammer. This is quite a cool show. You know that dude from Sopranos, played by Steve
Van Zandt.
Yeah, you know what happened after Sopranos? Well, his character went undercover in the city of Lillehammer, Norway, a show that got 3 seasons. So check that out. That is a pretty cool one.
That was Netflix's very first show.
Yes, indeed it was. Indeed it was. It was actually a Norwegian production that they just acquired afterwards. It was already in production.
Bastards.
And another Norwegian show recommendation. I'm going to say Norsemen. That's a Viking show. It's a satire. It's kind of like
it's very funny.
Yeah, it's brilliant. So do check that out as well. A book recommendation. A book recommendation. I'm gonna go classic. I'm gonna say Ibsen. No. Actually, if you can find it, look for the fairy tales of Asbjørnsen and Moe. Many of them have been translated to English. They are essentially the Norwegian brothers Grimm. They collected the Norwegian fairy tales with trolls and everything like that. So that would be my book recommendation, other than Ibsen. And of Ibsen, the one you want is I don't know the English name. Wilanden, the Wild Duck. So something that sounds similar to The Wild Duck by Ibsen. That's a book recommendation that you want. And Tennille89 says, Jesus, that sobering poor guy. I don't even know him, but nobody deserves that, no matter how much you may agree with
Ibsen's Two Girls in a Hot Tub. It's a very good book, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Excellent play.
So everyone support Darth News here. And Darren Hughes says has been a member for 21 months, saying, howdy everyone, almost 2 years here. Wow. Tom, please do the food diet thing. I know we all want a healthy you, so message will be around a long time. Indeed. And Ram Bam 3000 says for £5. And bear in mind, in Tower, Conan spends hours of his own volition listening to the priests and philosophers. Conan is stupid? Not so much. No, he's frighteningly intelligent, which is something that you see in the later stories there. And with that, I believe we have fully caught up.
So I want to thank everybody. Darth News, Mr. H, Culture Casino, Script Doctor. Do you have anything you want to plug before we go? Check out his Patreon. Six, anything you got going on you want to plug?
Nope, just a question. When's the next member stream?
Andre?
Oh, yeah. Without the Six being here to remind us, we're going to have to try to do something. Tom, let's try for Tuesday.
All right. Let me double check my schedule, but I think that should work.
We'll confirm.
All right. Paul, anything you got going on?
Nope. I'm sort of taking a break and just letting people watch my magnum opus 1985 TV guide video. Takes a lot to absorb. So that's it for me. Yeah. I might have some things I'll publish up here in Cottage Land.
Like you said, 85 was a very important year on television.
Extremely important year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they
Wasn't
also
that-
canceled a lot of great shows too, which is terrible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Golden Girls, Moonlighting.
Spence for Hire.
The name of
Yeah.
Yes,
so
Spencer
do everyone
for
do
Hire.
check that out. And T Neil 89
Yes,
also
please.
says, not a Norwegian show per se, but I saw an interesting documentary about the Isdal woman on Magellan TV. Yeah, that's quite the story. That has like Israeli Secret Service and everything in there. So that's also a documentary worth checking out. Yeah, Mossad in Norway.
There's another
Probably.
show that you missed in that TV Guide episode, though.
What?
Ewoks premiered that September.
Not on any of the networks.
Yeah, it did.
Kid shows. Sorry, I didn't cover kid shows.
Yeah,
Yeah, in the U.S. it was a Saturday morning show. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
I believe it was
kids
ABC, I think, had it.
Yeah,
With
you're
that,
right.
though, Paul is forgiven. Everyone go check out his video. Check out Script Doctor.
Yes.
Check out all our other guests' channels. Links are in the description. And of course, check out Factor 75. Link for that is
Yes.
also in the description. So you can join Tom on his quest to be better. And Paul, thanks for being here in all
the
your
Tiki
lovely
Lounge.
scenery and everything.
Paul live
Yeah,
from the
it's a-
Tiki Lounge.
Yeah, and
I'm lucky that the guy has a high tech cottage.
That's
Enjoy your
awesome.
bottle opener.
Yeah, enjoy your bottle
Oh.
opener.
Don't forget to sterilize it.
And of
Yeah.
course, everyone also check out Script Doctor's Patreon.
Yes, that's
Also
what I said.
linked to in the description. And with that, it is time for some
Another member super
yes.
chat.
STR Red Wolf says, one more time.
It's time
Loud and
for soggy koalas.
clear. It is. It is time for some koalas in the rain.
Koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given, koala, koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given, koalas in
I'll
the
share that in the
rain,
chat, guys.
koalas